the storms of Ida in the south and in the northeast, Mother Nature is not happy with us in terms of how we recognize what challenges face us.
The idea that these kinds of events, that these kinds of natural occurrences are brand new. These things are also biblical. We have a historical context of having these types of events happen. And what the Democrats need you to understand and focus on is that if COVID doesn't kill you, Mother Nature is. And from what I understand from her, Mother Nature's probably voting Democrat. I assume, I can only assume, she's probably a feminist. Pay attention to where the focus is and how they want you to look over here and stop looking over there. And in the meantime, if you didn't hear Jim Carafano yesterday on the show, please go back and listen to him. Please listen to the way he's talking about the reality of what is going on in Afghanistan, the impact that this is going to have on the people who have served there. And from the sounds of it, the people who are going to have to serve in future conflicts based on the ineptitude of what this administration is doing right now. It's a weird thing. One of the questions Ryan asked me yesterday is, what was the big story? Did anything really hook you in while you were on leave? And I said the Afghanistan story certainly did, because it was jaw-dropping to watch it unfold. And you're sitting there with your mouth hanging open and your hands up to the side, like, what's going on here? And you're just waiting for the administration to stick the landing, like, to save face. Because when you've got the whole media almost in your pocket, you can pretty much do that pretty quickly. Get a narrative down, get the copy points out, start shoveling it in people's faces, and then redirect attention or negativity in a different direction on someone else. They were unsuccessful in their ability to do that. That really pulls me in. I hear Jim Carafano talking yesterday about what is in our future, maybe our near future, maybe in months, maybe in years, based on what the Biden administration has done in Afghanistan, has empowered the Taliban, is actively working with the Taliban and telling you and me that now we'll see if they stick to their word. Why the heck should we think that the Taliban is going to stick to their word? Why in the world would we expect that? They're celebrating our exit as an American defeat. What are we doing? I'm absorbing these stories as they're unfolding on my leave. And yes, I'm holding a almost 3-month-old baby. I've got an 11-year-old son. What happens when he's 17 and he's sitting in his honors English class as a senior in high school, and something like September 11th happens, and he's looking about what to do about the future of his country? What's he going to do with his future? That's my boy. That makes a difference to me in a way that it has not made before. And many of you out there have served. Many of you out there have reached out to me in the last few weeks and said, it's breaking my heart to see what we're doing in Afghanistan. What in the world are we doing? You've had sons and daughters who have served. You've had mothers and fathers who have served. You've watched your spouse serve, or your loved one who became your spouse, the parent of your child, go over there and give of something. And I'm asking myself, in 6 or 7 years, when my son is 18 years old, what is the world going to look like? And what will my son feel his obligation is to his country to keep it safe for the rest of us? I don't like to think about that. It's something that makes this entire thing 20 years right now after I remember every detail that day. You see, this week you always see, you can be watching basically any network channel, news channel. You're going to see a promotion for this is how we're going to recognize September 11th. We're going to do that here on this station, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
can
We're
you
doing a whole special on Saturday.
on Saturday?
Mhm.
Make sure if you're out driving around, you have 97.1 on, and you get to hear some amazing things that we've put together for you to recognize this day, because it's important to, the phrase is never forget. That's not like a cute thing to say about something that has impacted all of us. We're supposed to not forget it so that our country doesn't send us directly down the same road that got us to there in the first place. What are we doing putting this in the hands of the Taliban, who is going to empower Al Qaeda, who was the enemy in the first place? What are we doing? Pay attention to where they are working to distract your attention and then double down on what is real and what is important. Please go back, if you didn't get to hear it, and listen to Jim Carafano, who is a decades-long veteran, who he's a good follow on Twitter as well, at JJ Carafano, and listen to what he said, because that's why we have folks like that on these shows. I can't speak to this. I am a mom who's sitting at home, remembers when this attack happened, thinking about my son in the future, my daughters too, and makes me scared. And that's what I said to him. I said, people are afraid of things that they fear. Their fear comes from not knowing. And when you hear someone who does know what they're talking about and does have the background information and gives you the context of what's really going on over there, and it's bleak at best, we got to be paying attention to the people who are making these decisions and put maximum pressure on them. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Governor Scott Walker is going to join us. He's going to talk to us about his efforts, this amazing foundation he's involved, the Young America's Foundation. He is the president of this organization. We're going to talk about what they are doing while they are reclaiming youth in this country. What a service that is to acknowledge September 11th. You're listening to the Annie Frey Show. We'll be right back.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
If you owed almost $28 trillion and you didn't have the money to pay it off, what would you need to do? Make a lot more money, right? Well, America's debt is almost $28 trillion, and right now, taxes are at historically low levels. It doesn't take a genius to realize taxes will probably go up. Now think about your retirement accounts. Do you want to pay taxes now on some of the money when rates are low, or later when rates are much higher? Whether you should pay taxes now or in retirement depends on a lot of things, and our team at Heisey Advisory Group knows what to look for. Plan now. Heisey Advisory Group can help you create a plan so your retirement is as tax efficient as possible. Call 314-328-6000. That's 314-328-6000 to set up a visit with our team. That's 314-328-6000. When taxes go up, will you be ready? Call 314-328-7700.
Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Heisey Advisory Group may not give tax advice.
Lakeside Renovation and Design, online at lakesidерenovationanddesign.com. Your go-to place when you have a project in your home and you want it done right. You want it done by the very best, don't you? You want to make sure that the project is something that's going to last you a lifetime. That's why Lakeside is very confident in their people, the very best that St. Louis has to offer. Your neighbors who work for Lakeside Renovation and Design, they confidently offer a lifetime workmanship warranty on top of that manufacturer's warranty. That gives you confidence when you go to Lakeside that you're going to have the very best. Of course, they're going to do their best work with you because that lifetime workmanship warranty is going to be something that you can bank on. They specialize in James Hardy siding installation, infinity window replacement, and custom front entry doorways. If you want to spruce up the outside of your home, Lakeside Renovation Design has the perfect solution for you. If you know exactly what you want, call Lakeside. If you're not sure, but you want to have something that is going to be a show-stopping on your street, you go to Lakeside. Call them at 636-978-5000, online at lakesidерenovationanddesign.com.
Tony LaRussa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
What's holding you back from solving your tax problems? If it's cost, know that the longer you wait, the more expensive it'll be. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. Tax resolution doesn't have to be expensive, and waiting year after year to resolve your tax problems can be extremely costly. Interest and penalties on your tax bill won't stop until you take control. So take the first step now and hire a tax resolution attorney to help you. Call me, Lance Drury. I'll tell you in advance an affordable fee which includes costs and expenses that works for your business and family. Your first visit to the Lance Drury Law Firm is free and confidential, so you have nothing to lose. But the longer you wait, the more interest and penalties you'll pay. Call me today. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need us, the Lance Drury Law Firm. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to lance.drurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
The latest local forecast and severe weather coverage you can count on from the name in St. Louis weather.
This is 97.1's Chief Meteorologist, Dave Murray.
On 97.1 FM Talk. Powered by Air Comfort Service. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Is this just an illusion that I made inside my head to get me by?
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
20 years in the government, 20 years can never get me by.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thank you for spending some time with us. A reminder that we will have special programming this Saturday to commemorate September 11th. Saturday is September 11th, and we invite you to join us and to, turn on the radio station and go through that day with us. And remember, that is so important for us to acknowledge what took place. And, Brad, and if you weren't listening yesterday, Brad Range in studio with us now. Brad Range is the new executive producer of the Annie Frey Show. We are so excited to have you, Brad. Welcome back.
Hey, I'm glad to be back.
I'm glad that you came back.
Hey, I had a good time yesterday. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I enjoyed myself.
We're going to talk more about your first day yesterday in the 2:00 hour. Ryan Wiggins will be in here along with Trisha and Brad. And we'll talk a little bit about 24 hours in. Like I said, happy that you showed back up. But my question to you now is, when it comes to remembering September 11th, when it comes to experiencing the memories of what took place there, I mean, all it takes is one promo on a television thing to see those towers. And it hits you pretty hard. If you remember the event happening, it's to me still heavy today, like it was back then.
Yeah, I want to go back to kind of what you were saying. You were in that weird spot between adult and child.
Yeah.
I can point to the exact moment where I had to become an adult. And I guess if it's all right, I'll go ahead and share what happened. But, I was dropping my brother and sister off at school. And then my routine was drop my brother and sister off school, go to the Freeburg McDonald's, get me a sausage and egg McGriddle, and drive home. And that was my morning because my mom worked overnights and managing a restaurant. So she was usually in bed. So anyway, I was sitting in the drive-thru and I was getting my food and I was listening to, I think, Z1077, MJ and BJ in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember them.
I do.
And they, a plane has hit the tower. We're just getting word that they didn't know if it was a big plane, a little plane, anything like that. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I'm glued to my radio as I'm driving home and I get home. And by the time I get home, I flip the TVs on and the tower's on fire. People, there's stuff like that. And we got up in the tower, I went upstairs because my mom's asleep. I said, hey, you've got to see this. And so she's sitting in bed and I just sat in the bed next to her. And, that's about the time people started jumping out of the buildings.
Yeah.
And she's like, and it's seared into my brain, seared into my heart. What about those people?
Those moments, those are moments that we have seen, and those are moments that continue to be ingrained in our head. And I think it's an interesting tie-in that, our experience, we're now in our late 30s We remember what this was like when we were youth, and somebody who's working very hard with the youth right now to make sure that we get these folks back on track is Governor Scott Walker, former governor of Wisconsin. Governor, thank you so much for the time today. We appreciate you joining us.
Oh, my pleasure.
You know, we're talking here a little bit about our recollection. I was a senior in high school when September 11th happened. It is a very impactful thing. As I said earlier, I was about as old as you could be as a kid and as young as you could be as an adult. But it's a very defining moment in my life, even as a very young person. And when we look at how education is being handled in college level, in high school level, and going even into elementary today, you and your organization at YAF are focusing on the youth of America right now, and you're doing something special for September 11th. And I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about it.
Yeah, at Young America's Foundation, in fact, if people are interested in yaf.org, yaf.org. But we started 18 years ago doing this 9/11 Never Forget program where students at colleges, universities, and even in high schools across the country put up 2,977 American flags reflective of the innocent lives that were lost 20 years ago come this Saturday at obviously the World Trade Center, but also at the Pentagon and in the fields over Pennsylvania. And it's a way to honor their memory. And for what you were just saying, it's I think even more important now than ever, not just because it's an anniversary, but because every single kid in high school and younger, and about half the kids in college weren't even born then. Mm-hmm. And so they're relying on all of us, not only to tell them what happened, but I would argue equally as important, who did it to us and why did they do it to us?
Yeah, the details are extremely important. And you juxtapose what took place 20 years ago with what we're seeing right now taking place, unfolding in Afghanistan. It could be a very confusing time for people who didn't live it, who didn't have that personal frame of reference of what we experienced as a country and truly what the world experienced watching this happen to the United States of America. How do you reconcile today's events with what took place 20 years ago?
Well, it's incredibly frustrating. I understand why a number of the family members of those deceased, whether they were innocent victims or they were people like firefighters and police officers, military personnel, and other first responders who rushed into harm's way. If that was your father or mother, sister, brother, aunt, uncle, someone that connected to, I understand why many of them have said they don't want Joe Biden at the ceremonies come this Saturday because they think of their loved one and all the members of the military in the 20 years since who fought, and tragically many have died, including most recently the 13 who died, I think needlessly because of the absolute disaster I wouldn't even call it a plan, of a mistake that was made in how they went about removing troops from Afghanistan. But you think of all of those folks, and I keep stressing to my friends who served, it wasn't in vain. You know, for 20 years they kept us safe, even if this current president, his administration have screwed things up. It was not in vain for those 20 years. And certainly for those men and women who are still in harm's way today, we continue to keep them in our prayers.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's so important to do that. You were the governor of Wisconsin. You've had the opportunity to lead people. Constituents were on both sides of the aisle. You were responsible for being the governor of everybody in this state. And I think for people right now, in the political climate we live in, it's so polarized. There's so much division, and it's difficult to be living through a pandemic, to be living through these global issues that are very personal and painful for many people in this country. This is a tough time right now to be in the know of what's going on in the world. And you're bringing the youth into this place where you're trying to lift them up and educate them and help them remember these things that are important. How do we get to a place as these youth grow older, they're going to take over, in a few years, they're going to be our leaders, our future leaders. How do we get to a place where it's not so divided, where we can be unified on something and get away from this current climate we're in?
Well, I think part of it starts in our colleges or universities, and increasingly even in K through 12, where we've got to go back to where it once was, which was not necessarily conservative. I'm a conservative of full spectrum. That's certainly what I believe in. But I remember, not that many years ago, when schools and colleges and universities gave people the facts and taught them to think critically. Yeah, were there probably, when I was in college, more professors who were left of center than not? Absolutely. But at least people could dialogue, they could have a discussion, people were exposed to different points of view. The cancel culture that we hear talked about is more than just a phrase. It really, for our students that we work with, it is something very real. We've seen it escalate, I think, in the last 2 years, particularly during the pandemic, where so many people on the radical left have made it kind of a mission that if somebody has even just a right of center viewpoint, not necessarily even conservative, just moderate to conservative viewpoint, they're not even allowed to speak out, whether it's a student, an educator, a speaker. We got to get back to the point. And there are some on the left who's, Bill Maher, for example, who he and I politically probably don't align well, but he agrees, as do others like him, that you got to have free speech. You got to have the ability for people to have a dialogue and discussion if you're going to bring some sense of unity back to this country. And there's just got to be common things that we share. It wasn't that many years ago, and I remember as a young man, and then taught my own kids, they're 27 and 26. When the flag goes by, you stand up and put your hand over your heart. You sing the national anthem, not as a political statement, but that was one of those rare things that brought this country together. See, I think social media in particular has gotten to the point where it capitalizes, the people who have the most followers are those who say the most outrageous things about each other. We've got to realize that social media isn't real life, and that there are better, we can passionately debate. It's what you do on your show, right? Passionately debate your ideas, but you also listen to people, and we got to do more of that.
Yeah, I think that is spot on, that we have to be able to talk to each other. We're always looking for the thing that makes us different from one another. And we just, you dunk on that. That doesn't get us anywhere closer to understanding one another. And sometimes I fear that the politicians or the media, they don't want that unity, that they profit in some capacity off of our division.
Many of the folks on cable news, on either end of the spectrum, and definitely on social media, most specifically on Twitter, you don't get millions of followers if you're bringing people together. You get them all too often, not exclusively, but all too often, for people who are taking digs at each other. The other thing I think is really going to be important for this Gen Z, the young people in college and high school and younger now, particularly with 9/11, is it one teaching thing that is a positive, I think, that can come out of this in particular. And you mentioned this, your own experience being in high school at the time. My kids were a little bit younger. They were in 6 and 7, so just going into elementary school. They still have vivid memories. Thankfully, in their case, their memories aren't so much of the Twin Towers coming down, but that was a Tuesday in 2001. But that Friday night, President Bush had asked all Americans to come out on their porch that night and light a candle and say a prayer. And our entire front yard was filled with families who heard we were going to do that, brought their kids over. And I still remember, my hope was 20 years later, my kids remember the images of people praying and singing God Bless America and joining together in the front yards. That's the resilience, not just that moment, but the days and weeks and months that followed. The resilience that, as difficult as it was, as bad as it felt that day, we got back up on our feet again. We were united as a country. And I hope somehow, without a tragedy like 9/11, we can teach this generation of Gen Z that they can be resilient, whether it's dealing with the pandemic, dealing with schools being open and not open and back and forth, that just as their parents and grandparents and many generations before have gotten through tough times, as Americans, we can do that together as well.
Speaking with Governor Scott Walker with Young America's Foundation, YAF.org. I want to give you the opportunity to talk about the 9/11 Never Forget Project, which is the largest nationwide campus initiative honoring victims of September 11th attacks on this 20th anniversary. Just tell us a little bit about what you're doing and potentially how people can support your efforts.
Yeah, again, YAF.org. The details are right up on there. You can find out what schools in your area have them, colleges, universities. We go out, we help support, make sure that they get the 2,977 flags to put up. Amazingly, thankfully, the good news is we've got them all over the place again this year. Amazingly, the last few years, we've started to get some pushback from people who thought it was triggering people. It was you even saw in Virginia, the Department of Education was talking about how, it was not right to talk about who did this. So, these weren't Muslims. These were radical Islamic terrorists. This is what happened. It was a targeted group. And so we share that message. We talk about what's going on. We're doing it in central locations, on college campuses, in schools and high schools in particular. And then we have them in places like President Reagan's Ranch, which we own and operate. We have it there in Santa Barbara. We have it at the Reagan Boyd Home in Dixon, Illinois. And we have it out on the mall in front of the U.S. Capitol. All these sites plus all these other campuses. And again, if folks are interested, yaf.org. It'll give you the list of all the schools that are doing that. And, feel free to come join us on Saturday because we'll be out. Some of them are doing more elaborate programs, but all of them should be out for a moment of prayer amongst the flags at 9/11 that morning. And some are going to be doing it for each of the specific times when the tragedies took place.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list of schools participating at yaf.org. We're sharing that article with our listeners right now, and it's a very long list. I'm very excited to see this effort and to give you the opportunity to talk to people about it so that they can support your efforts. Governor Walker, it is a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for what you're doing with the Young America's Foundation, yaf.org. We look forward to having you back again soon to continue to follow up on your efforts.
My pleasure. Keep fighting for freedom. Appreciate it.
Yep, you as well. We'll talk to you again soon. Governor Scott Walker there. YAF.org is the website, and you can see this. I mean, it is an incredible list of schools, universities that are participating in this event. And if there's one near you, if there's one on here that you want to highlight, share it. Share the article and talk about something positive that people are doing right now. Because sometimes it's hard to find the positivity. And when we find it, we should highlight it. So check out the podcast. If you missed the whole interview there with him, we'll have that up shortly. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Ryan Wiggins is going to come back in for what he's making me call Wiggins America. I mean, really. Like, you get the whole country. You filled in for 3 months and you've taken over the country.
Ego is huge these days. Welcome back.
It's fun. It's fun. Ryan Wiggins, when we come back, and you on the live stream, streaming live on YouTube at the Annie Frey YouTube channel, Annie Frey Show on Facebook. And today we're trying out Rumble. Have you followed us there? Just giving it a whirl. Go give it a whirl with us as well. We are Annie Frey Show on Rumble. We'll be back with Ryan Wiggins in a minute.
776, the names upon the list of all the ones who gave until they died.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Have a second floor or area of your home that is always hot or just not comfortable? Air Comfort Service has been solving comfort problems for 52 years. Contact them for a solution. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Springtime in St. Louis, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peters did. He called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. Our building was really faded. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
Are your neighbors jealous?
I would be if I was them.
Thanks, Rob. Now it's time to call 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Genius.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Beck and Lennox Estate Planning and Elder Law. Your confidence, your peace of mind that you get when you are looking for someone to help you with your estate planning needs. Now, they also help with long-term care planning This could be a very, very expensive endeavor. You don't want to get to the point where you need nursing home care or some form of long-term care and you haven't planned for it. Do you have all the answers? No. Do you know all the questions to ask? Probably not. But Beckett Lennox Estate Planning and Elder Law, they're prepared for that. They're prepared for you to walk in and say, we know we need to plan. Now help us. Tell us what we need to know. We will ask you the questions as we go along about things that are particular to your certain circumstances. And you'll know when you get done working with Beckett Lennox Estate Planning and Elder Law that you have that peace of mind, that confidence that you've taken care of the necessities that you don't want to have be left behind. 636-946-7899 and schedule a consultation. And you can discuss all of your particular needs, whether it's estate plan needs or long-term care planning with them. 636-946-7899, BeckElderlaw.com.
Hi, this is Tracy with Acropolis Technology Group. This message today is for those of you married to a just good enough or a bad IT company, but are afraid to break up with them because of how messy the last breakup was. I'm here to tell you, Acropolis is a great second, third, or even fourth marriage. As you probably experienced, switching is a real pain when the company doesn't know what they're doing. The memory of the last change is a bad one, so you put up with your current IT relationship until something really bad happens, and then, unfortunately, it's too late. We've started onboardings when a switch has been planned for months or as quickly as a few hours due to an untimely departure. Call us today for a free second opinion, and we would be happy to show you what the last 25 years of experience has taught us. Breaking up is hard to do, but we make it easy. Let us show you how our protect, optimize, and grow strategy can help your business by visiting us on the web at acropolistech.com. That's acropolistech.com. We are employee-owned, and we are Acropolis Technology Group.
Radio.com is now Odyssey. Download the Odyssey app to listen to 97.1 FM Talk and find content that moves you. The Odyssey app for 97.1 FM Talk on the go. This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thanks for being here with us. I'm so excited to be back. My first week back. Molly made it through yesterday wonderfully. She's doing great. And I'm here. I'm doing great. So it's a happy day, right? We've got a friend of the show coming up at 1:25. So not too long from now. Dr. Scott Hardeman is going to join us. Did you miss him? I missed him. I come up with questions along the way, like just in my normal life that I want to ask Dr. Scott Hardeman, like, can you please provide some truth on this crazy, crazy time we're living in? So he's going to do that again at 1:25, and then he'll stick around for another segment and take your questions, which means you need to get on the YouTube Live and the Annie Frey YouTube channel, the Annie Frey Show Facebook page, and today the Annie Frey Show page on Rumble. We're trying that out. Let us know how you like it. We've got this thing called Wiggins America, which I contest this still sounds like Wiggins Caribbean Vacation. I agree.
It's Caribbean combined with Western. So if you combined a John Wayne movie with like Jungle
You sound like
Cruise,
Joe Biden talking about the Nevada wetlands.
that was crazy, wasn't it? It was good listening to you guys talk about that. It was good listening to you. Wow. That's what I wanted to sing coming in.
I'm just singing the song. You see what he did there? Wow.
Man, what do you call a tornado now?
We didn't get that information. It's a top secret.
I would have gotten if he would have said something like, back in, we used to call them twistas, but now they call them tornadoes. That's not what he said. He
your
said,
Joe Biden voice is incredibly more distingued than your Annie Frey show.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I respect the president, Annie.
I can't believe you didn't fill in on my show not doing my voice.
I know.
You could have just slipped in there and nobody would have known that I was gone.
I know.
I could still be on leave.
Yes, you could. Do you want to take off Friday? I'll do the whole show. Hey, this is Annie Frey. Annie Frey Show. I'm not with Molly right now. I'm with you. That's what you
would
say.
do an entire Annie Frey show promoting Wiggins America.
Yeah. You know what I heard is really good is this Wiggins America show. It's coming up. Not this Saturday, apparently. Did you realize that?
We did a big thing yesterday. And then after the segment, our boss and Ryan were like, Wait a second here. We've spent a lot of time putting together a 9/11 remembrance, and Wiggins America doesn't start this Saturday. So y'all are just going to have to wait one more Saturday, but you can do it. And you're still going to tune in Saturday to hear that memorial. So
yeah.
What's in Wiggins America today?
All right, here we go. We're doing some real radio hymn. So
that was my Brad Range voice.
I like that too. I think we can all do that one. This is going to blow your mind, and it's really complicated.
Wait a
Terrible
second, time
tease.
out. So I'm having PTSD here of before I was on leave. Ryan will do a story like, this is going to blow your mind. And then he says something.
That doesn't blow your mind at all.
And he gets like halfway through it. And he'll say like, this isn't going how I planned. So I'm wondering if 12:45 every day is going to be like a mid-segment pivot of
well in my head
as soon as he starts talking, if it gets to be about 12:52 and he just starts going into the Annie Frey show voice, it didn't go as well as he thought it would.
No, get this. In 2019, when Republicans still controlled the White House and the Senate, they didn't control the House.
2019. It was a different world.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Completely different world. The Republicans in the Senate, along with President Trump, apparently, although I think if memory recalls, I think he was doing this stuff begrudgingly. I don't think he was exactly saying, yeah, let's do that. I think he was kind of being pulled along by the party and did it, even though he mostly would buck the party on basically everything, but he didn't on this one. They passed a bipartisan budget commission to indefinitely, according to the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, indefinitely stop the spending limit. So, we always have these spending limits that we run into just about every year, maybe every 2 years.
What was the name of the organization who made that decision?
Real quick here. It was the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget that I'm pulling this info from. This has been a rabbit hole. I've been really diving down this
don't
thing.
say rabbit.
Okay. I won't anymore. It has been crazy because I don't think this got any attention. That in 2019, usually they say, okay, we'll raise the debt limit by $1 trillion for the coming year, and then we got to do it again next year, right? Or sometimes 2 years. This one, they did a 2-year extension with apparently no cap on the debt limit. So this was July-ish of 2019. Didn't have any idea what was coming next in 2020. If they hadn't have done that, we would not have seen all of the spending that we are now dealing with for the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Can you believe that? And they never do that. So I cannot figure out, because I've been digging all morning, why did they decide to do that in 2019? Still don't know. But here's the relevant part of it. It expired in July of this year. Now, through different measures, the Treasury does this and that. They extend it for another month and a half, 2 months or whatever. So they're looking at maybe by the end of September, the government will not be funded anymore, maybe early October. But all of this is tied into all these discussions like you and I were having yesterday. You're smiling about stuff. I'm waiting for what's coming. No, this is going well.
You can't hear me smiling.
No, this is
now
going
you got me
well.
laughing. It's something completely different. Just you're rocking and rolling.
You're right. Okay.
Are you going to start saying, I'm Wiggins, and this is Wiggins America with this?
I can. I don't know what that is.
I wouldn't.
Okay.
Waters World?
No, not Wiggins World. Wiggins America. It was deliberate.
Just right.
Okay. All right. So they did this in 2019. So now we're dealing with the ramifications of all this ridiculous spending for the last 2 years that we wouldn't have otherwise, which I can't believe that it took this amount of digging to find that out. You'd think that information would be everywhere. Right?
Right. I mean, do you think that they just thought that Trump was going to be president again? That seems like a really
I think they
dangerous
did.
card to hand the Democrats.
I think they did. And I think that they thought that they would see no political fallout because their side would be at least somewhat in control over at least part of the next couple of years. And they did this. Obviously,
So here's the thing. It's the frustrating thing about all of this is that big government Republican spending is still big government spending. We have been in 20 years of big government spending, and it doesn't stop when one party takes over versus the other. There's not a difference. It's just we spend it on different things.
Exactly.
And the red tape, the bureaucracy that government sustains to maintain its own self is a real problem. And the crux of the problem is how do you campaign on cutting things? You can't do it. And with Donald Trump getting a second term where he doesn't have to run for reelection, where he is, if he were still able to have a Republican majority in the House and the Senate, which would have been the easiest shot to make pre-COVID, it would be very interesting to go back on this show and listen to me just really ignorantly say, there's no way President Trump isn't going to get reelected. I mean, think about the economy we're in and what would have to happen to it to stop him from being elected. I feel a little responsible. I feel pretty crappy about saying that multiple times. Stephen Moore would be on the show and he would be talking about how much we're on fire and how there was no end in sight and how this economy was something we'd never seen before. What would have to happen in order to stop the president from being able to reap the benefits of an economy that he helped bring back? And now we know. And so like in all of the context of everything that you're saying, this massive spending, even if Donald Trump would have gotten reelected, if we still have drunken sailor spending, no offense to sailors who are Republicans in the House and the Senate, it's still too much.
Yeah. If you're a Republican lawmaker listening to this, your voters don't want you to do this.
Yeah.
Stop doing this crap. People get mad at you. And then we all go, oh, I thought we were supposed to be the fiscally responsible ones. Because those of us who vote for you, we are the fiscally responsible ones. But then you go to Washington and you do this kind of crap. Stop doing that. It's Wiggins America.
That's what I was laughing about. Because if you're watching on the live stream right now, there's like, you know how you put on the scroll, you're watching any network news or cable news, and there's, you could, the amount of information that you can take in at one time, there's no square inch of your television that's left untouched. And we just have like two words scrolling like fidgety across the bottom, and it just says Wiggins America.
Put an exclamation point behind it or something,
Nope,
could you?
just straight up.
All
Wiggins
right,
America.
fine. Thanks for
You
thanks
could
for
make
at least
the
a couple
I
words.
in America an exclamation point.
Oh yeah,
We've
do
got-
that.
Wow. A design background
We're-
coming out.
Are we at a break?
No.
Oh,
1 minute.
Oh,
1 minute.
So
Left in
when
this.
we have 2 minutes left and she puts the 2 up in the air,
So that's
not like peace for all.
I am
in Wiggins America.
As you know, I'm really trying to get used to this because I did it over the summer. She would do that. I don't know what I was doing. I'd be mid sentence. She'd just cut me off. It was bad.
He's like
radio.
holding up fingers with me.
Yeah.
It was
How
very
about 5?
cool. Yeah,
5.
hey.
Can I get a 5?
Cool. I'll do 1. You do 2. Great.
You
We're
coming
good.
back at 2?
I will.
I have a dating story to talk about, and I cannot wait to get the different takes from this room about. There's a story out there about a woman who is a flirting coach.
Oh,
You can have a flirting consultation.
that seems odd.
Are we done? I mean, like, is society over? Do you have to go see someone to figure out how to flirt? My heavens. Scott Hardeman in the next hour taking your questions. Send them to us on the live stream. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Hey, fall is a great time to get some painting knocked off your to-do list, and CertaPro Painters is there to help. This is Mark Reardon. I've depended on CertaPro for years, and right now they're about to come over to restain my deck. They can do that for you or tackle any other interior or exterior painting job. The cooler fall weather makes it a great time to do outside jobs to prevent chipping, peeling, or fading, or refresh interior spaces like the living room or kitchen. CertaPro can do it all. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Book your appointment today at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Proven and trusted experts in painting. CertaPro Painters.
Just because you were born with bad vision, or even if your vision's become worse over time, it doesn't mean you have to live with it. Mark Cox here from my friends at Brenton Vision. Go online to BrentonVision.com to find out more about what they do. They're one of the only places in the U.S., the only place in Missouri, in fact, that offers all 7 forms of modern vision correction. Whether you're tired of dealing with contact lenses, reading glasses all over the place, even bifocals, Brenton Vision has helped people just like you from all over the world enjoy life with crisp, clear vision. Like my wife, who went through the ocular exam, who went through the RLE procedure, and she can't believe the difference. It has changed her life. Ask her. If you know her, she'll tell you the same thing. Brenton Vision can schedule you right online. You deserve to see life more clearly. Book your appointment right now, 314-375-2020, or online at BrentonVision.com. VossFinancialSafe.com.
If you've listened to 97.1 FM Talk, you have heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple on the station as the financial expert for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend on 97.1 FM Talk. And in case you miss any of those shows, on his podcasts on Odyssey.com and search Safe Money 97.1. So call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
KFTK FM Florissant, driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk.
An Odyssey station.
They're still stuck in Afghanistan. Lisa Brady, Fox News. Several privately chartered flights ready to take Americans and Afghans to safety haven't been able to leave the northern city of Mazar-e-Sharif. The White House and State Department have indicated that paperwork issues for some of the would-be evacuees have been a problem. But Secretary of State Antony Blinken says it's the Taliban blocking those flights.
While there are limits to what we can do without personnel on the ground, without an airport, with normal security and procedures in place, we are working to do everything in our power to support those flights and to get them off the ground.
Blinken speaking in Germany, where a number of countries had a virtual meeting today about the Taliban. He says there was agreement that Afghanistan's new leaders will have to earn any legitimacy or support. A warning to Congress from the Treasury chief that time's running out to raise the debt limit. Fox's Jared Halpern is live on Capitol Hill.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says extraordinary measures in place extending the federal government's borrowing authority will be exhausted sometime in October. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi insists Congress will increase the debt limit.
We'll have several options. We'll make them well known to you as we narrow and as we go forward. But it has to happen.
Pelosi says Democrats will not rely on a reconciliation package that could be passed without Republican support to raise the debt limit. Republican leaders in Congress have said they will not support a debt limit hike. Lisa.
Jared. Days before the U.S. marks 20 years since the 9/11 attacks, Saudi Arabia's embassy to the U.S. says it welcomes the release of classified documents, again denying that the Saudi government had any role in the attacks. Some victims' families have argued they did play a role and are suing the kingdom. President Biden has ordered a declassification review. America is listening to Fox News.
Ad paid for by OpenShar Concepts. Attention firefighters, members of the military, and airport workers. For decades, first responders and firefighters at military bases and airports used a chemical-based foam to fight fires. Studies have shown the chemicals used to make aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF, are highly toxic to humans and have been associated with several types of cancer. If you or someone you know was exposed to AFFF and were diagnosed with any of these cancers, including kidney, bladder, prostate, pancreatic, lymphoma, leukemia, testicular, and neuroendocrine, then you should call us immediately because you may be entitled to significant cash compensation. Call us at 800-319-2417. Our experienced attorneys will fight to get you the compensation you deserve, and you pay nothing unless we get a recovery in your favor. Time is limited to file a claim, so call us now, 800-319-2417. Operators are standing by 24/7, so don't wait, 800-319-2417. That's 800-319-2417. Again, 800-319-2417.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Well, hello to a big old Canadian high-pressure system and a delightful afternoon. Sunshine, a little breezy from the northwest. And now let's think temperatures mainly in the 70s for the afternoon with a bit of a slow drop. Then tonight, crystal clear skies, 70s for evening plans, 55 for the chilly overnight low. Thursday, sunny and 80, 85 and sunny on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Want your shot at winning 10 grand? Then you need to become a Missouri VIP. Missouri's vaccination incentive program is here. And a total of 900 vaccinated Missourians over the age of 12 will win $10,000 in 5 random drawings from August to October. To enter with the secure online form and see a complete list of rules, visit mostopscovid.com/win today. Get vaccinated and get your shot at winning 10 grand.
The Red Ribbon of Overhead Door is celebrating 100 years, a legacy of greatness. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is the only authorized dealer of the genuine, original overhead door products in St. Louis. Same-day service and repair on all brands of garage doors and openers. Convenient evening and weekend appointments for no extra charge. Visit the showroom or schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. Or call 314-781-5200. That's 314-781-5200.
Stewart's American Mortgage online at stewartsamc.com. Listen, if you have ever considered doing a refinance on your home, you need to talk to Stewie. He's got the best deal in town. I just did a second refinance on my house. It was a massive improvement on our financial position. And I did one in 2019 as well, because I redid it now because the rates have gone down even since then. And when you use the bagel loan with Stewart's American Mortgage, you pay zero in fees that every other lender out there will charge you for. It's not a gimmick. It's not a trick. It's real. I've done it twice. And I encourage you to call 314-324-4440 and talk to Stewie about your situation. Your circumstance, your situation is going to be different than mine. We have a home improvement that we want to do, that we wanted to take some cash out because equity is up. So if you have something like that, if you want to just refinance and shave 10 years off the length of your loan, or take your rate and get it lower while those rates are so good, Stewie is the best in town. I trust him. I've trusted him twice to do it. He's made my situation infinitely better twice. 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440. Ask for the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
Download the Odyssey app to discover hundreds of new exclusive music stations. Available now. For music fans, by music fans.
Yeah, it's over.
Music stations specific to your taste. Now available through the Odyssey app. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is sponsored by the Loading Dock. River views, outdoor dining, live music, and overnight accommodations. Visit GraftonLoadingDock.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not a married sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not married sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Happy that you're here. Thank you for joining us. A reminder that you can stream us on your Odyssey app on your phone. Take us with you anywhere you go. You can also stream us on your desktop at work. If you're done with lunch and you're pulling back in the parking lot, take us with you into work with you. We'll get you through the rest of your afternoon before we hand it over to Mark Reardon. Right now, I'm reading on the KMOV app, website here at 1 p.m. today, and which is right now. We are experiencing something as a community here in St. Louis that you don't ever want to have to experience. We have, we've all watched together the debacle in Afghanistan. We've all seen how this has unfolded, and we've heard the president speak, not very reassuring to my ears, the words that he used and the position that he's taken on this. But in St. Louis, and in 12 other locations across the country right now, people are welcoming home the 13 souls that we lost overseas in that suicide bombing on the Kabul airport. This is something that is very personal right now to the St. Louis area. It's also something that has tentacles out into the country. You do not have to be welcoming one of these service members home to your airport to feel heartbroken for the people who are connected to these individuals. Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz is coming home today, and they are closing down the westbound lanes of the highway here from the airport to bring him home. He's from Wentzville. You know, we were talking before about our experience of 9/11, and that was 20 years ago, and we remember being in high school. I mean, for me, I'm 37 years old. That was a while ago. Jared was a graduate of Fort Zumwalt South High School in 2019. And he comes home today. It's from Wentzville, Missouri, and people are lining up to welcome a hero back home. I wonder, all of the spin that takes place in Washington, D.C., the story shifting that we see come out of, any political administration, one side or the other, people who want to point fingers. Everybody's shouting and pointing fingers. We're very used to that. Do moments like this stop the noise from happening? Where you have that visual. You have people lining the streets thanking a service member for signing up and saying, I'll make the ultimate sacrifice to protect what we have here. So many people sign up and make that commitment, volunteer their service, and thank God don't have to have this kind of welcome home, but they all sign up knowing that this is a possibility. I keep talking about the Jim Carafano interview from yesterday, and just one of the impacts that had on me was he was talking about Arlington and how none of these headstones in Arlington that are in perfect rows and columns have a win-loss record on them. Every single one of these individuals is a win, an American win, because these people signed up to give their lives for this idea of America and to protect it. There is something here worth protecting. It's very frustrating to me that we can't agree on what we're actually protecting. What is the American distinction that is so valuable that it costs American lives? What is it about what we have here that people feel so committed to defending that they're willing to give their life? As I said, so many people make that commitment. So many people give of themselves to this service. And, thanks be to God that they do not have to have this type of notoriety and understanding of the ultimate sacrifice that Lance Corporal Jared Schmidt's family has in his ultimate sacrifice. But there are no words that I could say right now and right here that would fully convey what's in your heart or what's in my heart about how appreciative we are to Jared. How grateful we are that people like Jared exist. How amazing it is that Lance Corporal Jared Schmidt was raised in a way that made him understand for him what we have here to protect. I mean, it's such a massive, it's such a gigantic sacrifice that it just seems trivial to, boil it down into some words and, say some patriotic, go America kind of things. When you have slow moving vehicles moving down a closed down highway to take a soldier, a sailor, a pilot, a Marine, a serviceman home for their final resting place. These are images that our country has known for its entire existence. I mean, centuries of moments like what St. Louis here is experiencing right now. This is not unfamiliar territory for our country. But it makes me wonder in the climate of 2021, how does this hit people? How does this land in the busyness of your day? If you're running errands, if you're flipping through channels on the television, if you stumble across, something in your Facebook feed where you see the processional, how does this fit into your pandemic-ridden world where we are bursting at the seams right now of two sides of everything trying to rip us apart? Does the idea of Lance Corporal Jared Schmidt's pull us back together? If it doesn't, I think we're a lost cause. If that understanding of what took place in Kabul and what it cost America isn't something where we can all hold hands and appreciate the service that Jared and so many other people, and I'm talking about decades and, as I said, centuries of people, have given to protect this idea of what America is, then we're done for. The other thing is, your idea of what America is and my idea of what America is probably different, and that's American. Like, that in and of itself is an American distinction, that you can believe one thing and I can believe another, and we can be united in respect, in sadness, in love for his family, the families of the other 12 that have been fallen, that this is something that supersedes every single difference that you and I can come up with. You should be able to stand next to people on the side of the highway, one wearing a mask, one not wearing a mask, one vaccinated, one not vaccinated, one who loved Donald Trump, one who hated Donald Trump, one who believes that the direction of public education is exactly what this country needs, and one person who ripped their kids out of public school so fast to homeschool them. Right now, we all hold hands for Jared Schmitz because he died for our right to be that way. That is something that is quick to fit into your 1 o'clock hour on a Wednesday afternoon. And by dinner time tonight, maybe it's not part of your psyche because we're back to fighting about all the things that we're really, really super good at fighting about now. There are so many things that could unite us. There are so many things that we should be able to look at each other and, nod in agreement and keep our mouths shut and our hearts open to these moments and carry them into the evening and carry them into the next day and the next day and the next day. And it won't happen because that's not the way the system is designed. But right now, it has to happen. Trisha, I look at every single interest that somebody can have. It could be a material thing. It could be a clothing choice. It could be an entertainment choice. It could be, a personal choice of some kind of service that there is a political angle to everything.
Sure.
I've had, of course, people criticize me for certain things that I might patronize or certain things that are interesting to me because they don't believe that what I convey as my values or my interests match the thing that I like. That is discoverable with anything. Your soda choice can be political at any given time.
Yeah.
Did you see Brad Range was drinking a Pepsi?
Gosh, I would have thought he was a Dr. Pepper guy. But
yeah, I can't believe it.
Goodness.
I mean, it's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. And that's not to say that if you choose to patronize a place or if you choose not to patronize a place, that I disagree with your right to do that. But it's your right. You do you. I'm going to do me. That's just the way I've been built and will continue to go. But we just wake up looking for reasons to criticize one another.
Yeah. It's easier than ever now because everything is so polarizing. Everybody has made everything, like you said, political to a point where you almost have to take a side on something or you're going to get run over.
Yeah. And if you observe your circles, your social circles, which are really weird right now because we've been told not to have social circles, socially distanced social circles, or whatever. If you look at your social circles, how much diversity you're naturally going to be driven to people who are like-minded.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody is exactly like-minded. We all have differences. Brad, you are also a pastor, a minister in O'Fallon, Illinois side, right?
Yes.
And so you meet all kinds of kinds. And you're here now in a radio station producing this show, and you have different walks of life. You're a teacher as well, and you can't just only walk one lane and say, I'm only going to converse with these kinds of people. Although there's a lot of folks out there right now who would encourage you to do so.
Well, yeah, there's people that would encourage me to do so, but one of the things I always remember is who Jesus hung out with. And Jesus didn't hang out with just the people who agreed with him. As a matter of fact, he went out to the people who didn't agree with him, and he interacted with them and actually affected a lot of their lives to change them to kind of see things the way he was presenting things. And to me, why should I be any different?
Yeah. We we are hurting ourselves. Even if you want to, from a cultural, apolitical standpoint, I wish we would have more conversations with one another. We would understand each other more. I just don't know if we want to do that right now. Put that all on the shelf and let's go full on political about it. You're never going to win better or bigger if you don't give people the opportunity to hear what they have to say, because they're never going to want to listen to your side of it. They're never going to want to listen to why you think the way you do. It's a very important piece of the puzzle of what we try to do from noon to 3 here, which is if you are somebody who believes the opposite of what I believe, I don't mind if you listen to my show so that you can strengthen your side of the aisle, your position on an issue that is opposite mine. I want you to know why I think the way I think. I am not here to tell anybody what you're supposed to think. That would be ridiculous. Unless you're a millennial, mom of 4, like misophoniac, can't stand when people are chewing around you. I'm trying to think of all my worst characteristics. Insomniac, had a migraine this morning because I went to the Need to Breathe concert last night and like the Cardinals game the day before. 2 big events, which are like the 2 big events I've gone to in the last year.
All year. Yeah.
I don't do anything. I'm a fun person, but I don't like get to do fun things. It's like convening the Senate to try to get a babysitter and all that.
You are also an insomniac. I got a message from you at 1:51 in the morning and I responded at 8 a.m. and you were still up. Like, what are you doing, lady?
I was having a migraine. Brad's might have been even later than that.
Oh, yeah. I think it was about 3 a.m. for me.
You guys are crazy.
I wasn't awake. I was asleep by then, but
no. Yeah, I've told everybody because we're expanding the show and more people are being involved in it. I'm like, I'm going to message you late and you don't worry about that until you are ready to worry about
you're
that.
Totally laid back about it. Like, you're super chill about it. But I was just thinking like, girl, sleep.
Mm-hmm. I know. That's what I was thinking. I think at about 3 a.m. last night, I tweeted 3 a.m. is an offensive time.
It really is.
It bothers me.
It really is.
We just got to get to the point where we are more willing to listen to one another. And I have to remind myself that very frequently as well. We got Dr. Scott Hardeman coming on next. Very excited to welcome him back to the Annie Frey Show. We're going to talk about coronavirus pandemic. We're going to talk about vaccines. We're going to talk about all of that from a medical standpoint, non-biased, non-political conversation, straight information, and your questions are welcome on the live chat. You just got to come to the Annie Frey YouTube channel or the Annie Frey Show Facebook page. We'll take your questions there. Stick around, Dr. Scott Hardeman, in a minute.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Businesses are struggling right now, which means a lot of good workers are being laid off. If this has happened to you, contact your employer and ask them to look into the Missouri Department of Labor's Shared Work Program at sharedwork.mo.gov.
The 5-year no-interest finance offer is on at Diamonds Direct with a special focus this weekend on Tacori. We've flown in entire collections of all new Tacori direct from the Tacori Design Studios in Los Angeles. And this Friday and Saturday, you can choose your Tacori handcrafted jewelry and get 5 years zero-interest financing. You can also earn up to $500 toward your next platinum bridal piece with purchase of a platinum Tacori bridal ring. Make your California Tacori dream come true this Friday and Saturday on approved credit only at Diamonds Direct. Details at diamondsdirect.com.
Air Comfort Service, 314-513-0091, 314-513-0091. We're getting into that time. Is it weird that I'm talking to you about your furnace? It's going to get chilly outside, and you might want to get a hold of Air Comfort Service now so that you can make sure that your furnace is in tip-top shape when that St. Louis cold comes. I don't remember if it was National Weather Service or who it was, but said that we are in for a cold winter, like a long cold winter. And I thought, well, that's lovely. Make sure Air Comfort Service is there to keep you in your comfort zone. Corey Malone and the wonderful people at Air Comfort Service are the go-to place when you want to make sure that you're getting options. They're going to look at your situation and they're going to tell you if you need a whole new unit. They're going to tell you if they can fix it. When they came in to replace our furnace that quit 2 days after Christmas last year, they said, we can replace it. It's probably going to cost, or we can fix it, probably going to cost about 75% of what a new unit would cost. Here's the price for a new unit. This is the price to fix it. They let us choose. They're going to let you do the same thing as well. You can ask them about rebates. They will make it affordable. They will help you with a financing plan, but you got to give them a call and mention the Annie Frey Show when you do. Call Air Comfort Service at 314-513-0091, aircomfortservice.com.
When you have errands to run, do you like to run all over town, or do you like to try and make as few stops as possible? It's nice when you can get everything in one place, isn't it? Hi, this is Ken Heisey, owner of Heisey Advisory Group. I believe the same is true for retirement planning. You shouldn't have to go one place for investment planning, another for tax planning, and yet another for retirement income planning. That's why Lori and I started Heisey Advisory Group. We wanted to build a company that could help families like you with all aspects of retirement planning. We're more than just convenient. We're knowledgeable, experienced, and we'd love to help you create a comprehensive retirement plan so that you can retire with confidence. Call today at 314-328-6000 to schedule a visit with us to talk about all things retirement. Call 314-328-6000. That's 314-328-6000.
Firm offers insurance but does not provide tax or legal advice. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Critical thinking for critical times. You're listening to the #1 talk station in St. Louis. A voice for the free exchange of ideas. This is 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show.
Show me where to look, tell me what will I find? What will I find? Let me on the ground and fly me inside. Show me where to look, tell me what will I find? What will I find?
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thanks for joining us. This is one of those really good times to make sure, if you haven't checked it out yet, to come look at the live stream that we have up for you on the Annie Frey YouTube channel. Go there and subscribe to the channel. And you can watch us. You can participate in the live chat because we are welcoming back to the show my friend, Dr. Scott Hardeman. Doctor, welcome back to the show. It is great to have you back here.
Thanks, Annie. Nice to speak with you again. I wish we were having something else to talk about besides coronavirus, though, but here we are again, right?
Yeah, I messaged you, and when I asked you to come back on, I'm like, so COVID is still a thing. So we would like to talk to you about it. I mean, we haven't discussed this for a while, and I would kind of like to give you the opportunity to ask you, where are you at right now on, you know, I'm reading about new variants, there are vaccine boosters that are there. So many different avenues to go. What do you think is the big story right now that people need to be paying attention to?
Well, I'm not super convinced that we have to worry too much about these other variants that now, sensationalize the news and they pop up. I think with each one of these, we'll just have to see how they play out. This one existed back in the spring when we last chatted, and we knew it was coming out of India and the UK, and it was going to be a player because it just seemed as if it was more contagious, although not necessarily more aggressive, but more contagious. I think the interesting stories out there now really center just a lot around the sort of the mystique of the vaccines and breakthrough cases and natural immunity, and more is discussed about this all the time. And I think just where there's been this big shift from, say, January, really when we started rolling out vaccinations, and sort of the messaging on that was that, hey, get vaccinated and it's going to be good for you and you're back to normal again. And I think we found now that obviously the vaccines are doing a great job at decreasing the severity of the illness and are combating the illness, but we're finding more and more that natural immunity factors into stemming the tide of this, and also that there's going to be breakthrough cases. The vaccines were never really studied to try and prevent all illness like that, but it fortunately seems as if they're working well, and with these certain variants to try and prevent real severe illness as well. So it's just it's an ever-changing landscape, and like we've always talked about, I hate to get too worked up about things that may be on the horizon until you really know if you need to worry about this, I guess.
Yeah, that's the opposite of what people are having to endure right now in this climate. You mentioned a couple of things there, and I want you to speak a little bit more on it. The efficacy of vaccines. You talked about the benefit of the population that has been vaccinated, but you've also talked about breakthrough cases. Do you feel confident about the vaccines that are out there right now? And are these breakthrough cases in your mind, maybe the way people are experiencing COVID through a breakthrough case, people who have been vaccinated? What's your feeling on the efficacy of vaccines today?
So the endpoints in most of the vaccine studies really looked at primarily at just severe illness and mortality associated with contracting COVID and the downstream ripple effect of that. I think it was kind of a foregone conclusion that you were going to see breakthrough cases. We were seeing some of those even the last time we spoke, but obviously the numbers of vaccinated individuals really kind of took off shortly after that. The severity of the illness definitely is less in them, and they're recording primarily the breakthrough cases are primarily the more sick individuals that end up in the hospital. So there's probably, quite frankly, more in the community than what we really know or think of. We see a lot of people being tested who've had prior vaccination. It tends to be the ones that were vaccinated further ago. I think the efficacy is still good and still helpful in preventing the severe illness, fortunately. And I think we maybe need to shift our pivot, our viewpoint on this. We've talked at great length about herd immunity and what that means, and can you stomp this out? And I really would just double down on the fact I think this is probably here to stay in one fashion or another, and it's going to be somewhat endemic to nature that we'll be dealing with these flare-ups seasonally. But we're in a different place today than we were 6 or 8 months ago, clearly, because many more people have been vaccinated, both through vaccines, but also through just having the illness, essentially, and having a robust immune response to that. And that has also been something that, was politicized and poo-pooed certainly out there, that those that were previously infected and had a healthy immune response to that they still should lean towards getting vaccinated. I still would say that getting boosters towards that really makes a lot of sense if you've had the illness a while ago. But clearly we're seeing that those folks who've had the illness before do have a good, strong immune response to it, and not seeing tremendous numbers of breakthrough cases with those individuals either. So it's going to be an ongoing sort of uphill battle to some degree, but we're just in a different place. And I think as we continue to inch forward, both through natural and acquired immunity through vaccination, that if we can reduce this to more common cold type symptoms and keep the ICU burden down and take the severity of the illness out of the picture for the infirmed or otherwise comorbid issues, I think that's a right step in the right direction.
We're speaking with Dr. Scott Hardeman. He's a physician at Gateway ENT, also urgent specialists. Talk about it at urgentspecialist.com. Let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned natural immunity, and we're talking about vaccines. So now we've been introduced to the idea of boosters. People are talking about having to get boosters. It's probably very close to happening if it's not happening already. What is the lifespan of a vaccine, and what is the lifespan of a natural immunity as far as we know at this point in time?
So recent studies that I've come across have shown that out to 11 to 12 months after having the wild type infection, that there's strong and robust immune response, both through sort of an adaptive T cell immunity and also through antibody levels that stay high. So your ability to recognize an infection you previously had essentially and reproduce neutralizing antibodies to that. The boosters, it is kind of interesting to see as this Delta spike has sort of picked up, or we'll say maybe end of July, first part of August or so, maybe a bit before that. It was something that, you kind of expected to see these cases kind of breaking through those individuals like that. But it was oftentimes Pfizer followed by Moderna and J&J, which kind of mirrors the rollout of the vaccines and who received what earliest on. So it seems as if that 6 to 8 month window of time in the study groups, and then also just in real world data, is when you start to see the immune response starting to wane a bit from a high level of neutralizing antibodies. So they've essentially rolled out the concept of booster vaccines to immunocompromised individuals, and I believe it'll probably be a little closer to the end of the year or sometime deep into the fourth quarter before it becomes widely acceptable or pushed to the general population. Now, in other countries like Israel, they're looking at number 4 already, trying to combat some of this because they've had huge adoption of vaccines in their country, and they're seeing breakthrough cases. But you have to kind of parallel that to the severity of the illness too, obviously. So even a vaccine that loses some of its efficacy from 94% to 80% is still wildly successful at preventing severe illness as well.
So we're getting a lot of good questions coming in on the Annie Frey YouTube channel and the Annie Frey Facebook page. We're going to come back in the next segment and ask those of the doctor. So if you would like to get your question in, please come comment it on our live stream, which you can watch on YouTube and Facebook. I've spent the last 3 months on maternity leave. It's been summer. I was expecting this summer to be a dip in COVID intensity, but with the Delta variant, it became a much bigger topic in the news, of course, and for people who have been watching this pandemic develop over time. I am amazed at the focus from the administration or the top about educating people on what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, and why the emphasis hasn't been on talk to your doctor. Go to the person who scribbles something on an RX pad, and you just take it to Walgreens and you just do what your doctor says. Like, people are not looking into what's in their Lipitor. They're just taking it because their doctor tells them to do it, because they trust them. They have they know their doctor has their best interest at heart. I mean, you are a practicing physician. How do you look at the way this has been handled? And do you feel like your patients have less trust in you as a physician, or are you seeing that in the medical community where there's been a breakdown in trust on this particular issue?
Definitely a breakdown in trust on the issue. It's where that breakdown actually happens, I think, would be an interesting discussion. So, historically, I think you're right. There's been a high level of regard for your caregiver, your physician in most things in medicine. And I think still, I would just say from my practice, I have patients all day long who ask my opinion on this vaccine or that vaccine or where we are, just want to talk about these things in general. I still think there's a high regard for that. And I think that there should be, because the vast majority of physicians out there are just doing their level best to try and keep up with the ever-changing climate, trying to avoid letting this get politicized and really just focus in on what the true data is, what the numbers mean, try not to get overly concerned about it, and keep their practices open and continue take care of patients, because we can't let other healthcare issues slide as a result of sort of panic over these issues. This is, from the get-go, this has kind of been a top-down approach. Early on, it was so unknown. I mean, really, we were looking at mortality rates of 10, 15, 20% is what we were thinking we were seeing coming out of Northern Italy when this all began. And that's a terrifying thought when you think about that. Mm-hmm. But here we are, almost 2 years later, 18 months or so later, and we've learned so much from this that I think the vast majority of physicians are fairly calm in their approach with this, trying to just keep up with the data and the information and educate patients when they come through. But, patients have access to, we all have access to information out there to an overload capacity, and trying to sift through what's rhetoric and what's real, get past the headlines. I mean, people have become very educated to just not read a headline, but to dig a little deeper than that first layer, and can help make medical decisions along with their physicians. So, like always, I would definitely encourage people that have questions to reach out to their primary care physicians or their specialty physicians, or whoever that may be, and have these discussions, because that's how we move forward through science and education in general.
I want to ask you, this is not about your specific political beliefs, because that's the purpose of this segment, is to speak about this from a medical angle. But I talk to so many people in my life who are all over the place on this issue. Very, very pro-vaccine, very, very anti-vaccine. But the one thing that I really feel is the common thread among everybody is everybody just wants to do the right thing. They just have different voices speaking at them, or different news articles that they follow and that they read. Do the politics of what's going on seep into the medical profession? And does that have to become part of how you talk to people when you advise somebody one way or the other? I mean, I feel like it would be impossible for politics not to be involved in that conversation.
Yeah, there's definitely, I guess I would say, kind of battle lines drawn on certain issues that are out there. Some that are just not worth dying on the hill for, like the masking issue and other things. I would agree with you. I think people tend to want to get past this. They want to do the right thing, whatever that may be. Sometimes you have a bit of a bias in the information that you go to look for. You find information that supports your viewpoint and belief on things, and that is certainly true of physicians as well. I mean, I think we have to all be careful to sort every little issue out and figure out, is this being politicized or that? It doesn't really factor into my world as best as you possibly can try and avoid it, because it shouldn't. I think we just, you try and just take care of patients and try and educate people in such a way that they can make good medical informed decisions on that. But they're just overwhelmed with the information. It's so aggressive, one viewpoint versus another viewpoint. And like most things in life, the reality is probably somewhere in between, right? So I just encourage people to do a little bit of exploration of what maybe a viewpoint that's counter to theirs are, and see if they can, make a good informed decision at that point.
I agree so much. We're going to put you on hold, doctor. And you said you could stay for another segment. We'll take some questions.
Sounds good.
All right, perfect. Hold on just a minute. We'll be right back with Dr. Scott Hardeman and your questions. Sign on right now, Annie Frey YouTube channel. Subscribe while you're there, and just put in the comments, question for the doc, and ask us what you want to know. All of those questions that are swirling around. We're taking a medical approach at this. We're not advocating for anything other than true, honest medical information. This is not a political conversation. And that is refreshing to me. Hopefully it is to you as well. Facebook.com/Annie Frey Show, live there as well. Dr. Scott Hardeman answers your questions when we come back. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Get in your comfort zone with air conditioning services, repairs, or a new AC install from Air Comfort Service. They offer 24/7 emergency service too. For any air conditioning needs, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health understands how difficult it is to maintain healthy skin and how much this can affect someone's life. With the right combination of treatments and products, they can help you keep your skin looking healthy and more youthful, while also reducing and preventing damage. Take your first step towards healthy skin at the Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health. Visit them at inhstl.com or call to schedule at 314-293-8123. That's 314-293-8123.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Spectrum Business called their competitors to see if any of them could beat Spectrum's Business Internet Plus phone offer for $69.98 per month with no added phone taxes or fees. Here are real quotes from the competition.
How are they pulling in no fees and taxes? That's madness.
I would 100% go with Spectrum.
Even the competition recommends Spectrum Business. Call 855-339-5344 and switch to Spectrum Business today.
Competitor quotes from actual phone conversations. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
So the Vitae Foundation, one of my favorite organizations working right here out of St. Louis, among other places. Go to vitaefoundation.org, learn everything about them and how you can get involved. What do? Well, they empower women with information to help them make a life-saving choice. The law is, I should say, that women have choice right now. And until that changes, we need to throw our support behind these women and give them the information about the life that is growing inside of them and help them get from where they are right now to where they can be having this child, putting this child up for adoption, raising this child, empowering women to choose life. And there is an event coming up that I will be at, and I hope you will be at as well. You can help defend the defenseless by coming to the Vitae Foundation's St. Louis pro-life event Tuesday, September 28th at 7 p.m. at the Hilton St. Louis Frontenac. You're going to meet other people who are passionate about this issue, and you're going to get to hear from keynote speaker Trey Gowdy. I am so excited to be emceeing this event, and I want you to be there as well. Sign up online at their website and become a part of something important and real. Go online to vitaefoundation.org.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Were you an ABBA fan?
No.
Have you heard the new music?
No.
It's just not good.
Well, they were never good.
Oh, come on now.
Mark Cox. Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on 97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
Don't know when they're going home, but your friend could come along. Thinking, why not? Baby, why not? Ooh, I'm looking good, don't want to blink. Mirror tells me I'm a king.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Happy to be with you on this Wednesday afternoon. We have a good friend of the show here with us, Dr. Scott Hardeman, who had joined us basically since the pandemic started until I went on maternity leave every Monday, and he's here with us right now. Welcome back to the show, Doc. It's great to have you here again.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
So we've got a lot of people asking questions right now on our Facebook Live, facebook.com/Annie Frey Show, or the Annie Frey YouTube channel. Get your question in now. We'll get to as many as we can before the end of this hour. The first one here is from Larry. He says, what has research found about natural immunity and the longevity of it? My wife and I are naturally and unnaturally vaccinated. So those folks who have had COVID, but also had the vaccine, what do we know about that immunity?
Well, I would say that person is very similar to my own world. I mean, I had COVID last fall, been vaccinated, and you stand a good chance at warding off many of the variables that are coming our way. I think the vaccination immunity gives you a pretty robust and strong response, very narrow path with antibodies towards the spike protein. Having been infected with COVID and recovering from that, you have a multitude of antibodies that help to fight that, not just the spike protein, but the other recognizable antigens on the surface as well. So I think long term, that type of individual is going to get periodic boosters like they would influenza boosters or other things, tetanus boosters, et cetera, that just help to kind of stimulate the immune system to make sure that it's going to be able to develop appropriate response if there's some more aggressive variant that should rise to the surface at some point. But, the combination of those two things is really pretty good. And I to be honest, I would kind of go out on a limb and almost say that at some point, everybody's going to be in that position, right? I think, the fact that we have breakthrough cases with vaccines not being surprising. It's mild illness. You recover from that. Now you've kind of got it, just like they said, you've got it both through an injection and through the natural type of infection.
So we're talking about natural immunity here. Christina asks, do you suggest the vaccine if you already had COVID? So if you've gotten the virus, you still say, yeah, go get that vaccine.
Yeah, I think the reality of that is it makes sense to do that. Think of it sort of as boosting your immune system to something that has a recognizable pathway already. You're just hedging yourself against some potential exposure to a variant or to a large viral load that you can just need a little stronger immune response to that. So obviously the position of that is always from the medical community is to get vaccinated if you've had prior infection. I think you can always discuss that with your doctor as far as the timing of it. If you're recently convalesced from the illness, is it necessary to be vaccinated immediately? Possibly not. Can you time the shots a little bit differently? Can you treat them more as a booster? Those are all valid conversations, but the official position I think is always going to be that yes, get vaccinated even if you've had prior infection. And from a public health perspective, you can kind of get it from the mindset that there's a lot of people who, of course, know they have had COVID because of a test or a serology test from antibodies, but there's a lot of people who say, oh, I'm sure I had it before. Well, you're risking a lot on potentially getting infected with a severe illness if you don't know for certain. So the public health perspective is to just try and vaccinate individuals and try and protect, those that are most vulnerable from getting the illness going forward.
A message to the Annie Frey Show Facebook page from Lynn wants to know about the potential side effect of clotting from COVID. Do you recommend taking a baby aspirin or treating that side effect of actually having the virus?
So in the vast majority of individuals that have very mild symptoms in the outpatient environment, not hospitalized, not even borderline to go to the hospital, it's probably not necessary to be concerned at that level. There clearly are cases of clotting that exist from severe illness, and it's not just this particular virus. That's something that can happen with other viral illnesses too, and in very sick individuals in the hospital. And so that is a concern of developing microclots. I think if you're, at a point where you're borderline, or if you're at high risk individual, an older individual, or with other comorbid issues, I think having that conversation to take low dose aspirin if you're in the acute phase of things is not an unreasonable conversation to have. But I don't know that I'd be overly concerned about it for the vast majority of people who get this and have real mild illness.
Chris on Facebook says, why would you need a booster if the study from WashU states that natural immunity lasts 17 plus years? Is that something that's familiar to you?
Yeah, there's a recent study out that suggests it's long-term, and that even goes back to some studies looking back at the 1918 pandemic and just recognizing T-cell immunity to Spanish flu. The concept of the booster is not that you have no response and you need something. It's more to just trigger your immune system so that at any given time you have a fairly robust response to be able to initially combat the virus before it has a chance to get in and replicate. She's not wrong in that opinion of things, and I think I share that. I think that I believe wholeheartedly that natural immunity to this is very effective at warding off the illness. But if you're months and years out from that, having a little bit of a booster vaccination concept in order to just trigger immune response so that it can mount a quicker response to a potential exposure is a good idea.
John on Facebook says, question for Dr. Hardeman. I am to understand mRNA vaccines are only effective for 6 months. Aren't the COVID vaccines mRNA? If they're only good for 6 months, what's the point?
Well, I think that's what's being figured out right now is as the antibody levels fall, what level of efficacy does that still achieve as far as preventing severe illness? So it's not that you have the vaccine in January and in July you have a zero immune response that's not traceable in your system. But the study groups look at the large groups of folks who were in those initially, and then they also look at real world data and track what the antibody levels do, but also parallel that to the severity of the illness. As the antibody levels fall, do people tend to get sicker or end up hospitalized more or need more aggressive care at that point? So it's I think there's going to be an immune response that lingers from a vaccine way longer than 6 months in an individual. That's clearly going to be the case. What their point is, I think, is that they feel, looking at the data, is that the level of immune response has dropped to a point that may subject you to more severe illness if you were to contract it at that point.
All right. Chris on Facebook says, is it possible that this mass vaccination is causing more and more of these variants to occur, and that the lack of treating symptoms and just max vaccinations have been the wrong approach from the beginning?
Well, that really gets into some interesting discussion. I think that from a clinician's perspective, I still do feel to some degree like it's almost Groundhog Day, right? People get sick and they come to the hospital and you give them some supportive measures, but basically you kind of keep an eye on them. There's not a whole lot of great interventions to do. I wish we had more attention on therapeutics and ways to keep people out of the hospital or to treat early in the outpatient sector. And that gets politicized as well, right? I mean, we dance around the issues of hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin and all these IMATH protocols and things that are being used in other countries and quite frankly here in this country by some brave physicians that are willing to try different things that are out there and available to prevent their patients from getting sicker. I think there is a concept behind vaccines pushing mutations that potentially could exist, but I don't think that we're necessarily there now. This particular variant really came from overseas, and it was in an area where there wasn't much vaccination early on. So this has existed since back, at the first of the year or so, and it's just worked its way into our country. The counter argument to that is that if you eliminate severe disease and jumping from host person or from an infected individual to another through vaccination, do you prevent viruses from mutating as frequently and potentially creating an environment out there that they become more resistant? So it's I think that the general philosophy is that we're not driving the mutations with the vaccines at this point, but when you discuss it, you can kind of get your head around how potentially that scenario could happen. And the same is true even for those breakthrough cases, right? There's recent studies that the breakthrough cases are way more likely to be asymptomatic or very mild symptoms in a group of individuals who stepped up and decided to take a vaccine and feel like that they, wanted to get their life back a little bit. And they may have mild symptoms and can transmit that to other people. That's the other side of the vaccines, that you can still transmit it, but you kind of have to boil that back down to trying to prevent a real severe illness and outbreak in you as an individual. You get flu vaccines to try and prevent yourself from getting influenza and getting quite sick and hospitalized. And the same is really true of this as well.
We're trying to get through as many of these questions as we can. Keep them coming on our live streams. The Annie Frey YouTube channel. Mike asks, I'd like to know why we don't hear about the supplemental prevention measures, for example, vitamins, proper foods that we can take aside from getting the shot.
Well, the information's out there, and people obviously, the person who wrote the question, I think they've probably done their research, and to be honest, I don't have a good answer why we still kind of focus all of our attention on vaccination as a way to get out of this completely. I think there are therapeutic options that exist both in the outpatient sector and in hospitalized individuals that need to be discussed more to give people a sense that it's not just one way or another. The information's out there. I think that we should talk about it more openly. It unfortunately has become a real political hot button, and I think that physicians who feel strongly in doing some of these dietary supplementations or some outpatient treatment feel to some degree targeted. I think in some states of the union where it's almost dangerous for their careers to be able to talk about things openly. But the information is readily available out there. It doesn't take much digging to start finding groups of people and forums where it's discussed openly about other countries, what they're doing from a diet and medication perspective too.
Here's a question from Sue directed at our Facebook page. Does the severity of your COVID infection have anything to do with the immune response that your natural immunity will produce if you were to be infected again?
Not sure I quite understand the question of that, but I think that what they're getting at is that if you have severe illness initially, does it predict a different type of outcome if you were to catch the illness a second time?
Yeah, I think that's.
I would say, first off, I would say that there are very likely people out in the world and in the community who've had COVID more than once. I would not go so far as to say it doesn't happen, but I think it happens less likely than we think. And I think that speaks to the natural immune response to things. If you've had the illness and convalesce from it, I don't think there's any clear data that if you were to catch it a second time that you're going to have a worse outcome. I would say it's probably much likely to be a less severe outcome the second time around.
I don't have much time left here, but we have a question from Mary on our YouTube channel. It says, what does the doctor say in regards to children getting it? The virus or the vaccine?
Oh, well, the vaccine is obviously one of them is indicated down to 12 years of age at this point. I think parents are struggling. Many do, whether they're very in favor of the vaccination concept or not. I think there's still some people kind of struggling with some of the initial data, just looking at potential adverse events first and correlating that with what the potential outcome or bad impact of COVID is on them. But I think it's right now the studies are active and ongoing less than 12 years of age in all the vaccines that are there. The good news is there's more kids obviously who've had it this kind of go around with this, but the vaccination of the older adult population has to some degree protected the severity of the illness in those individuals. And while we have seen some increases in hospitalizations associated with kids, it hasn't been dramatic or drastic in the grand scheme of things. So I think the upside is that, of course, kids can get this, like we said all along, but I think in general, it has still been less significant of an impact on the pediatric population.
Dr. Hardeman, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. We look forward to inviting you back again soon. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
You bet. Have a great rest of your day.
You as well. Physician at Gateway ENT, urgentspecialist.com. Ryan Wiggins joins the studio again here. We're going to have some fun conversation in just a minute. Don't go away.
This is a great time of the year to upgrade the energy efficiency in your home with my friends at Window World. Mark Cox here to tell you more about my experience with Window World. They replaced a couple of windows at my house. They were just panes of glass. We wanted to be able to get some airflow into the master bathroom. They came out, they gave us a free estimate, and then had the windows at seams installed in no time. Very professional, lifetime warranty I get, and you get an extra double strength glass on their replacement windows that's not common. So you're getting a great price, simply the best for less. They do front entry doors, rear entry doors if you're looking to replace that back door or sliding glass door in your home. They've got a great selection at Window World. They're also right now offering 18 months, same as cash financing, of course, with approved credit. The preferred window of the St. Louis Blues, 314-993-1800, windowworld.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels.
KFTK FM Florissant, driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk.
An Odyssey station.
Sending a message to the Taliban. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says multiple countries are on the same page after a virtual meeting a day after the Taliban announced an interim government for Afghanistan.
The Taliban seek international legitimacy and support. Any legitimacy, any support will have to be earned. And we heard that across the board from everyone participating in today's session.
He's visiting Ramstein Air Base in Germany, one of the hubs for American and Afghan evacuees. Blinken blames the Taliban for holding up several privately chartered flights for more evacuees and says the State Department is doing everything it can to get them off the ground. The president makes a renewed push for both of his infrastructure plans, a smaller bill that has some Republican support and a larger spending package that does not, as the White House holds an event honoring labor unions.
The Taliban.
Speaking to labor leaders in the East Room, the president said unionized workers are essential to his Build Back Better agenda.
Putting hundreds of thousands of people to work, including plumbers, pipe fitters, electrical workers, steel workers, so many other union workers, modernizing roads, bridges, water systems, broadband systems.
President Biden called for a pathway to citizenship for so-called dreamers, people brought to the U.S. illegally as children. A core infrastructure bill is waiting for action in the House. Speaker Pelosi has said she will pass it by September 27th, even as progressives push to link the two plans. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
An emergency resolution on what amounts to a Texas boycott will have to wait in Portland, Oregon. The city council delaying a vote on what was expected to be a resolution banning the purchase of goods and services from Texas in protest of the state's new law banning most abortions. The Portland mayor's office says a draft resolution is being postponed to best understand the impact of the ban. America is listening to Fox News.
Ad paid for by OpenShar Concepts. Attention firefighters, members of the military, and airport workers. For decades, first responders and firefighters at military bases and airports used a chemical-based foam to fight fires. Studies have shown that chemicals used to make aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF, are highly toxic to humans and have been associated with several types of cancer. If you or someone you know was exposed to AFFF and were diagnosed with any of these cancers, including kidney, bladder, prostate, pancreatic, lymphoma, leukemia, testicular, and neuroendocrine, then you should call us immediately because you may be entitled to significant cash compensation. Call us at 800-319-2417. Our experienced attorneys will fight to get you the compensation you deserve, and you pay nothing unless we get a recovery in your favor. Time is limited to file a claim, so call us now, 800-319-2417. Operators are standing by 24/7, so don't wait, 800-319-2417. That's 800-319-2417. Again, 800-319-2417.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Well, hello to a big old Canadian high-pressure system and a delightful afternoon. Sunshine, a little breezy from the northwest. And now let's think temperatures mainly in the 70s for the afternoon with a bit of a slow drop. Then tonight, crystal clear skies, 70s for evening plans, 55 for the chilly overnight low Thursday, sunny and 80, 85 and sunny on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Worried about what you're breathing in? With each breath, allergens, germs, and viruses get trapped in your nose. Now there's a simple, easy, and effective way to clean your nose and protect your health. It's called Navage. Navage. Available at Navage.com.
Home warranty. I know, right? Buying coverage for appliances, your heater and AC, etc. from a company that hopes you never ever have a claim or call. Let me introduce you to a real home warranty company, the kind that actually wants to help you. Upkeep Home Warranty and Maintenance. Upkeep visit your home 4 times a year to maintain your appliances and equipment. You will never get a lack of maintenance denial because Upkeep does the maintenance. Also nice, Upkeep assigns you one point person to help you. You won't be passed around like an office hot potato, and you won't get subcontractors. Upkeep does all their work, so there's no blame game. Just experts helping you. Visit upkeepstl.com today and type in 97.1 for $100 off. Don't be denied. Instead, be relieved. Upkeep Home Warranty and Maintenance. 636-387-7331.
Keep up your home with Upkeep. Keep up your home with Upkeep. Keep up your home with Upkeep, and you'll have a happy home.
Edwards Carpet is extending our Labor Day sale for 1 week. Thick, 50-ounce carpet with a 20-year non-prorated warranty for just $3.99 a square foot, installed with pad, and we take up the old carpet and move your furniture free. Or Core-Tech Rigid Core LVP for only $7.99 a square foot installed. On top of that, get 18 months free financing. Last chance at these prices, so hurry in. Sale ends Monday, September 13th. Edwards Carpet, serving St. Louis for 82 years.
Come on down to Edwards Carpet Stores.
St. Louis and Route 66. They go way back. A lot of people drove through here hoping for a better life. Now, the Route 66 God Loves You Tour is bringing hope to the St. Louis area, featuring artists like the Newsboys and Marcos Witt, and a message from Franklin Graham.
Remember this, God loves you.
The Route 66 God Loves You Tour, coming to Worldwide Technology Raceway in Madison, Tuesday, September 21st. Learn more at godlovesyoutour.com.
How is your mental health? Billie Eilish, Kevin Love of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Imagine Dragons, Lil Nas X, and so many more feel the same pressures we do. They're joining our host, Carson Daly, for I'm Listening, September 23rd, starting at 6 p.m. right here. Carson and a cast of mental health experts, athletes, musicians, other notables, and you will share stories, insights, and help us all remember that we are not alone. Please join us, because talking about our mental health has the power to save lives. For more, visit imlistening.org.
The Odyssey app. The Odyssey app. Download it today and stream anytime from anywhere where St. Louis comes to talk. 97.1 FM Talk. The place for ideas. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is sponsored by The Loading Dock, Riverviews, outdoor dining, live music, and overnight accommodations. Visit GraftonLoadingDock.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Okay, I got to ask a question. We got Ryan Wiggins in the studio now. Hi, Ryan. Welcome back.
Hi.
You've been real busy.
Oh my gosh,
You're
I'm
like a
so busy. I got
busy
so
bee.
much going on. It's just so much life happening. You got to grab it by the horns.
I really meant it, but now I don't believe you.
I don't know. I don't know why.
Are you trying to convince somebody?
I don't know.
Well,
I'm just living life, man. Living to the fullest. Got to go 100 miles an hour. This crazy life will pass you by. Wow. Day 2, and I got you already. All right.
Yeah, that's what it was. Anybody watch boxing fights?
You mean boxing matches? No.
No.
But I do know the correct vernacular, apparently.
So rude.
Boxing.
Let's get back to the
Okay.
question that I asked and not my choice of
Boxing scuffles.
Fisticuffs.
Who was a tiff? You watch boxing?
The last fight I watched was Jake Paul. Was it Jake Paul?
Oh, that
I get
guy.
one of those guys. I get the brothers confused. And Floyd Mayweather.
Is the other one Logan?
Logan is the other brother.
Yes. He is.
And it was
Okay.
not a pay-per-view thing that I did.
Not
but
for the listeners, but for my ignorance sake. What are the Paul brothers?
influencers, right?
Is it? Are they?
That's all they are, right?
Yeah.
It's an excellent
I think
question.
Yeah.
One of them is a YouTube sensation phenomenon.
Yeah.
Both of them. One
Mhm.
of them.
Both of them. I think they got their start on Vine, didn't they?
You're
It's a sentence
outside
you
the
don't hear
realm.
every
I don't
day.
even know
Right.
what Vine is. Is Vine little videos like TikTok?
It's nothing
Well,
anymore.
Vine is dead.
Oh, it is.
Weren't they like
Okay.
10-second videos?
Yeah, they're short, just like TikTok. I mean, just short little videos, and TikTok is basically the new Vine. And when Vine died, they did a podcast, and then they started boxing because I don't know why they started.
Because they wanted to
boxing.
make money and they're doing it.
Oh, they're making way huge amounts of money.
So, do you watch boxing kerfuffles?
Not, not really. I'm aware when
What
they
do you mean
happen.
not really?
I'm aware of the
You do
world.
or you don't?
Here's the deal. When I was in college, UFC was becoming a huge thing.
Mhm.
So we'd go over to somebody's house who'd have it on pay-per-view, and I would just be there because that was what was happening. So I kind of got the gist of
You've
the
been
world.
exposed to it.
Yes. But I didn't really know what I was watching.
Trisha can't leave you out.
About boxing?
Do you watch
No.
fights?
No.
President Donald Trump has signed a contract to provide commentary on a game cast of Saturday's boxing event headlined by Evander Holyfield versus, is it Vitor Belfort? I don't know.
Yeah.
So he's going to be the play-by-play guy on the boxing match?
Let's see here.
Kerfuffle?
What I was really hoping was that you guys
Boxing
knew
slap fight.
more about this. Yeah.
You have come to the wrong place.
That's
my
on
friend.
MSNBC. His son, Donald Trump Jr., will join him at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida. Quote, I love great fighters and great fights. I look forward to seeing both this Saturday night and sharing my thoughts ringside. You won't want to miss this special event, Donald Trump Sr. said. The Trumps are going to call the entire 4-fight telecast that also includes Anderson Silva, Tito Ortiz, and David Joe Fournier.
Yep.
David Hey Joe Fournier.
That is Trisha's favorite fighter.
Yep.
Hey,
Don't bring a
Joe.
David Hey Joe Fournier fun
So-
fact in here. Not expect to get some pushback.
Brad Range is in here with us. He's the new executive producer of the show. You are familiar with him if you have been around our social media platforms, which we're streaming live on right now. And I want to explain to you how what Trisha did there was fantastic producing. She just blindly agreed with what I said to make me sound better. But if I were to call her on it, then it's fun to see what she does.
I'm taking notes right now. I'm just writing all this down. Blindly agree.
Just create a button that says, you got it, Annie.
You
You don't
got
even have
it.
to talk.
Yep.
Yeah, once I figure out how to use that program,
Yeah.
I have a hot button.
So Holyfield, the 58-year-old former heavyweight champion, stepped in on short notice as a replacement for Oscar De La Hoya, who I've heard of, who tested
Oh, that's
positive for
right.
COVID.
That's
He
right.
was in the hospital with COVID.
Hope he's getting better. Hope he fights that hard and wins that fight against COVID.
Let's see what you did there. That was nicely done.
See, she's just rocking and rolling over there in that producer chair. Annie, that was so funny.
Keeping it warm.
You got it,
so
Annie.
You're so good at what you do. Belfort's 44 and is a former UFC light heavyweight champion.
Light heavyweight. Okay.
Yeah.
If that's wrong, that's on ESPN.
That's right.
Because
No,
I am just saying
That's
the words
a
on
thing.
screen.
Yeah,
no,
light
that is a
heavy.
thing. light heavyweight.
Sure it is.
It is.
You guys are like emphatically nodding like,
Uh-huh.
no, this time
Yep.
I really mean
You
I
got
know
it.
what I'm
No,
talking
for
about.
real this time.
I think that's fantastic that he's like, what? They're not going to shut him down there. You know, you're going to get the opportunity to put Donald Trump in the fighting community. Dana White, I know with UFC, has been a very vocal supporter. He spoke at the convention.
2016, right?
And 20.
Yeah, did he do
I
22?
believe.
Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, many fighters have come out and spoken positive things about President Trump. Did you hear some of the chants this weekend at college football? Brad, I know you said before Saturday you were looking for a college team.
I'm still looking for a
I'm
college
lobbying for Notre Dame, but you said that
you-
racing got in the way.
Well,
which
it's
is just
racing though.
Uh-huh.
But it's racing. I mean, like college football is cool, but racing is cooler, and it's in my blood. So,
have you considered SIUE?
I have.
Undefeated since 1957.
Listen, if I'm going to watch a small market team, I'm going to
My
go
husband
with my
actually
alma mater.
has a T-shirt that says SIUE football undefeated since 1957.
That's awesome. I want that shirt.
Well, it's the only one I ever saw, and I think he got it at Goodwill, and it is one of like the most comfy shirts he has. There was a lot of sentiment out there, very negative towards President Biden, which is interesting because that is a very young crowd, obviously, and people associating big government, even though that may not be what they call it, with freedom to choose what you want to do, to pack 90,000 people in a stadium and, you know, jump up and down and bounce off of each other and do whatever, you know, dumb things that you do as a college football fan in a stadium that are just really cool while you were there. I wonder, like with UFC, that's going to be a younger demographic. College football, younger demographic. I think that the understanding of these 13 people, these lives that we lost, like I said, Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz graduated from Fort Zumwalt South in 2019.
Wow. I didn't realize how young he was.
This cuts through. This message is going to reach a younger audience than any of the incredibly predictable bickering that takes place on any network or cable news. Like, this is going to reach different people. What does it mean when Donald Trump goes and shows up and calls that fight?
No, I think that's a great point, and one that has not been talked about a whole lot because we saw the stuff over the weekend. People just, you know, the overhead, the drone shots of the people in Virginia and all over the place just wanting to get out. I don't know if college football games were always that crowded or if they're just crowded right now because people are desperate to go do something normal. But there is a political angle to that because who usually doesn't vote for Republicans? Young people typically don't vote as conservative as older people do.
Or they don't vote.
Or they don't vote at all. That's correct. Here's another angle that we haven't talked about. Who is the highest percentage of unvaccinated people in the country? Inner city African Americans. Those people typically do not vote for Republicans, yet they are rebelling against the people telling them this is what you have to do. What does that end up looking like politically? Don't know yet.
Yeah, Trisha, what's your experience of, you know, in your social circles or whatever, the awareness of what's going on? I mean, people know that they go to their local bread company and they're closing at 4 and you can't go inside because there's not enough workers there. People know that service is slower places because there's not enough servers there, bartenders. I know when we first met a long time ago in 2012, when you were working with me in the digital department, you were server at Applebee's.
Sure.
If you're short staffed at Applebee's, how much pressure does that put on you as the server that is there? And how much harder does it make it for you if you're managing more tables to make people happy so you can make the tips that you need to do to feed yourself? I mean, I feel like there are a lot of things taking place right now that have a little bit of collateral damage that reach a demographic that might be asking for the first time in their life, why is this going on the way it's going on right now?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes me actually, even just thinking that makes me nervous thinking about it because I have thought about those service workers.
You having flashbacks?
Yes, absolutely.
2 for 20 days.
Yes. And like there's nobody to run the food and they just keep getting sat and everybody needs tea and it's fine.
It's very specific.
It's interesting. 81 needed ranch. You know, I still wake up.
Wow.
Darn it.
That's a lot of tables if you're up to 81.
It's in the 80s. It's the big booth in the bay. Anyway,
is this the Green Mountain Road Applebee's?
Yes. Yep,
there.
the one in Shiloh.
That's my
the one.
Applebee's.
Hey, I
Aw.
worked there for 7 years.
Oh, I'm sure.
Anyway, to that point, that's an excellent point.
Ranch.
It probably is. I really do wake up with that dream sometimes that I
Oh.
forgot to bring the table the ranch that I needed to. But it's interesting to think about young people being aware in that capacity, because I'm in that age where we're frequenting these businesses and we're just trying to be patient like everybody else is. I think everybody's, for the most part, aware enough in my social circles now. But I can only imagine what these kids, and they're not all kids, but younger people that are waiting tables, that are working behind the counter, are experiencing, and if they're correlating that in a political way. Because normally those people would be, you'd think younger people would lean Democrat and liberal and left, but this is kind of like what happens when we let the left control things.
What demographic right now goes, Joe Biden's just nailing it?
Right.
I mean, seriously,
That's
tell
an
me,
excellent question.
if you've got the most votes that any president has ever garnered in the history of this country, that's Donald Trump, as somebody who was running for re-election, increased his votes by what, like 8-10 million or something like that from the first time. So as much as this country hates Donald Trump, more people loved him than they did the first time. And then there's Joe Biden, who's like on the other side of that. Is it 81 million people?
Mhm.
These are the types of things that are in my brain, but they have been on vacation for 3 months. And I'm going, man, it could be 81 million. Was it 700 million? I can't really remember. 81 million people said, yes, Joe Biden over Donald Trump. That's what we're told. 81 million people looking at Joe Biden right now in this administration, Brad, going, yeah, this is good. This is way better than what would happen if Donald Trump were in office. Love him or hate him.
Oh no, not a chance. I know that. I know people personally who are like, I regret my decision for voting for Joe Biden.
Do you think that does that translate to, I should have voted for Donald Trump?
I don't know if it translates to that yet or not, because I think I was telling you this earlier, Trisha, that people didn't necessarily vote for Joe Biden. I don't think that they voted for Joe Biden. They voted against Donald Trump.
Right.
And I don't know if they've gotten there yet.
It's a very important question while we're looking to shape up 2024.
But I did say yet,
Mhm.
and as long as things keep going the way that they're going, I mean, they'll get there.
So let's take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to ask everybody in the room, if you don't, well, maybe somebody in here loves that. Maybe somebody in here is of the demographic that thinks Joe Biden is just absolutely nailing it right now. But if not, I mean, a Donald Trump comeback story professionally would just be the most entertaining thing to watch from the front row right here. Is that what's best for the country? Is that what is best for a victory in 2024? I'd love to hear what you think. We'll read some of your comments as well in the air. Comment live on the Annie Frey YouTube channel, the Annie Frey Show Facebook page, and we'll discuss that in just a minute with the crew. Don't go away. Back in a second.
Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Hi, Sean Long for STL Fenceworks. We're celebrating 50 years in business. In 1971, my parents, Russ and Carolyn Long, started this business. Their vision, offer quality products with next-level service affordably. STL Fenceworks is celebrating this milestone with the STL 50 promo. For a limited time, to qualified customers, we're offering $1,500 off all Wolf maintenance-free decks or custom leisure space projects, and $500 off all vinyl, steel, and aluminum fence projects. Let us build your dream Wolf maintenance-free deck with exquisite black railing and accent lighting. Or imagine a breathtaking leisure room designed and constructed to meet your needs and complementing your lifestyle. Save $1,500. And our maintenance-free fence options equal fun and safety for your pets while you enjoy $500 off. Visit stlfenceworks.com and learn more about our STL 50 promo today. 50 years of meeting and exceeding your expectations. At STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction has been and continues to be our passion.
Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm here in St. Louis. I've been warning our clients that IRS employees are back at work since mid-July, and their collection efforts have ramped up. Well, sure enough, it looks like it's happening. So if you have unfiled tax returns, wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, now's the time to call the Lance Drury Law Firm before the IRS calls you. Tax resolution plans are based off your current income. So if your current income is less than normal due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this is precisely the time for the Lance Drury Law Firm to help you. Your consultation is free, so don't put it off. The Lance Drury Law Firm focuses solely on tax resolution law. It's all we do. And if you have IRS problems, you have legal problems. Let us use our tax law resolution experience to guide you and work on your custom resolution plan. Call now. It's free and confidential. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to Lance, DRURY law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Attorney Joe Cordell. New school, new job, new home. Change is hard and can leave you feeling isolated. And divorce delivers one of life's hardest blows. The relationships you counted on are suddenly gone. But you don't have to walk through this alone. For more than 30 years, Cordell & Cordell has guided men through the challenges of divorce. You're not alone. Call Cordell & Cordell.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood Parkway, Suite 310, Chesterfield, Missouri, 63017. CordellCordell.com.
Oh, according to research, 82% of people remember radio ads. So 82% of you listening will remember that this is an ad for ZipRecruiter. 82% of you will note that if you're hiring, ZipRecruiter finds qualified people for your job. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And 82% of you will remember that you can try ZipRecruiter for free, but you have to go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Yes, free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Critical thinking for critical times. You're listening to the #1 talk station in St. Louis. A voice for the free exchange of ideas. This is 97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to the Annie Frey Show.
Cafe, just the other side of the border. She was sitting there giving me looks that make my mouth water. So I started walking her way. She belonged to Batman Jose. And I knew, yes I knew I should leave. Then I heard her say, hey, come a little bit closer, you're my
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thanks for being here. Talking a little bit about the current president.
President. President. Look at that nice kid with the American flag. Say hello. How are you, pal? What's your name? You can't hear us. How old are you? Oh, you're getting old. Is that nice? By the way, the neat thing about America, every time we end up with a problem, going into a serious circumstance, we come out better than we went in.
Oh,
that's neat.
That's great.
It's not true.
I just have this nightmare that that's going to be me when I get to be his age.
Oh my goodness. He made Chuck Schumer look young in that clip.
I have a nightmare that I'm the 7-year-old in that clip.
It's recurring.
What, sir? What? This is what's ahead for me?
How old are you? Yeah, it's so aggressive. It's weird to me that response is weird to me that he says that. Protesting a wee bit too much into a 7-year-old.
Right.
I really don't get it. You can't watch. I mean, I don't say this. I try to remember when I say Biden to say President Biden. He's the president of the United States. I remind my children this anytime. My heavens, the amount of money that Governor Pritzker must be spending on YouTube ads that I cannot skip after 5 seconds.
Yeah.
What does YouTube cost for premium? If it's $1 million, I'm going to ask Pritzker for one of his. He won't miss it. And I'm going to subscribe to YouTube Premium so I can stop seeing these ads. But it's important to, in my opinion, to show respect for the office. That's what I wish people would have done for President Trump. Disagree with everything he's done and say so. But there's zero respect in this country. I want President Biden to represent America in a way that we can collectively say, this is what he's doing and he's got a handle on things. And while I disagree with it and I want to replace it in 3 years, I want to still respect the office. You cannot look at what he's doing right now, how he's managing it, and be comfortable with it. And I look at it. Rachel Campus Duffy said this when I was on leave. I don't know if you guys covered this at all. She said, how can Jill Biden stand by and watch this happen? And she got lit up for it. And I agree with it. I look at the situation where President Biden is in and how he's handling himself. And I don't have to turn a blind eye to it. He's not well. He does not look like he has his hands firmly on the wheel at 10 and 2. And that concerns me as a citizen of this country and as a voter. And I don't know how, if I put myself in the shoes of somebody who could, like, I have an internal desire to want to help him not put himself in these positions. And who would want that more, to protect their loved one, than your spouse? I mean, you're the person who has to step in and say, enough here. You're the person in just in life, I'm not talking like anybody in any relationship. And when you look at the comparison between, as we were talking about in the other segment before we got here, about the acuity that Donald Trump had, the frequent attacks on Donald Trump's mental capacity and his ability to take on the job. I mean, we were talking about the 25th Amendment in PSAs by Hollywood celebrities before he was sworn into office. So we've made that conversation fair game. In the words of my children, they started it. So let's look and observe the mental acuity of the president right now. There are questions that the American people deserve answers to. So, going back to the question that I asked before we came here, I guess, Ryan, we'll start with you. In polls, as I highlighted yesterday, Donald Trump is beating Joe Biden in polls right now. I think polls are crap. I hate polls. But those polls, the reason why I don't like them is because I specifically think that poll has been talked about to shine a spotlight again on Trump, because it immediately scatters everybody to their corners. Joe Biden's doing a terrible job, but oh my gosh, the worst thing that could happen to this country right now is if Donald Trump was back on the stage. So let's recalibrate our criticism of the current administration. That's why I feel like these polls are made. So we talk about that, and everybody is supposed to remember, where are you at on the Donald Trump question? Because that is the answer to where you are on the Joe Biden question. Is Donald Trump running again for office the best thing for the country moving forward, or the best opportunity for a defeat of Joe Biden or whomever may run in that place?
I think that Trump would probably lose a couple points overall to DeSantis, but still win. If we're just talking about 2024, there's a weird thing that in the back of my head I can't shake, because I really want to look at 2024 and be like, okay, if we somehow get through a 4 years of Biden, he's even said he's not going to run again. So we also have to consider.
But he's also said that he is going to run again.
That's right. I guess he said both.
He said that after he was the president.
Yes.
In I can't remember the name of the room, but he was talking about something else that had happened, and a reporter asked him about running, and he was like, yeah, I absolutely intend to run again. And I can only imagine what
that was 4 or 5 days ago, though. It's probably changed by then.
You think it's what needs to happen?
So I just think that we're in for a long road between now and 2024. I still, and you know where I'll head with this, I still think that we have a lot to see about what happened in 2020 before we can look at 2024. And if everything's on the level, then we're talking about, okay, then are we seeing Trump versus Biden? Are we seeing Trump versus Kamala? Are we seeing DeSantis versus Kamala? That's, I think, probably the sort of the mainline conversation that we can have. And if we're sticking with that, I think DeSantis probably has the best shot, even better than Trump, just because, and the media is already starting to look at him and starting to pile on and trying to find anything they can find about Florida having bad COVID numbers or mask policies, anything they can find. There was a hit piece over the summer. It may have been even before you left, if you remember that.
There's been hit pieces weekly.
On DeSantis,
yes,
though.
Yeah.
And so they
clearly
know.
Has the attention.
Exactly. They know that he's a threat. And so they're going to do everything they can to bring him down. So it's not as if he's going to skate by and well, they'll bring down Trump, but DeSantis will go by unnoticed. That won't happen.
DeSantis is not unvetted either. I mean, he has run for office. He has won multiple offices. If he had something glaring, I mean, I'm sure there's something somewhere that someone is going to create to make bigger, and the mainstream media will pick up on it. But he's succeeded being Ron DeSantis, and I'm so impressed by him. What do you think, Trisha?
Yeah, I don't, because going back to your point with where people are on Joe Biden right now, so many people, and like Brad said, so many people voted against Trump as opposed to in favor of Biden. Excuse me. So to Ryan, to your point, I do think DeSantis in that regard is probably a better candidate than President Trump. There can't be that many people out there. I would be interested to speak with a Democrat, a level-headed Democrat that wanted anybody but Trump and thought Joe Biden was just going to hold the fort down, to honestly get their opinion right now. An adult that has like very middle of the road opinions on it. Because I can't imagine that they're happy with how this is going, and whether or not Joe Biden runs or who doesn't run. I personally don't know that, and I was a supporter of President Trump. I voted for him twice. I don't know that he's the best choice for the party, because so many people voted against Trump, not for Biden. And you still run the risk of people voting against somebody instead of for somebody.
Trump dictates the whole election.
He's so different. He's such a different type of candidate than we've ever seen before, that personally, I think somebody like a DeSantis could come in, and I would like everybody to get on the same page for the right reasons and work to take the country back in a positive way that is a little bit less polarizing.
Nothing that we're talking about has to do with policy.
No,
it's
not
all
at all.
personality.
No,
it's stigma.
Brad, what's your thought on that? And also, Ryan listed off several potential matchups, and he said Kamala repeatedly. I don't think it's Kamala. What do you think?
Oh, you don't think it's Kamala that would be running?
I don't think anybody likes her.
I don't think she can win.
I think that's why they don't like her.
Yeah.
Well, that's why her party doesn't like her.
This is going to make me sound bad, but I think that she was picked because Joe Biden said that he was going to pick a woman of color.
That's what he said. Those are his words.
And I forget who the other, there was two possible.
Stacey Abrams was discussed.
Stacey Abrams, but there was a lady from Florida too. And I can't remember her
Oh,
name.
yeah.
I don't remember her name.
She
either.
is just, as far left as we think people are now, she is just way left. But I think your original question was, do you think that a Donald Trump would be what's good for the country? And so whenever you say what's good for the country, I think more than just political or policy wise
party.
I think, people, what is the country? Well, it's us, it's the people. And I voted for Donald Trump because I saw him as the best way to kind of smash the wheel of the machine that was going on in Washington, D.C. I think he upset the apple cart. I think he did exactly what I wanted him to do. And not only that, I think he surprised me. I was like, okay, well, I know the known quantity in Hillary, and I didn't know what the known quantity was in Donald Trump. And when he went in there and he smashed that wheel, and then he did things, and I'm like, this stuff is great. This is really good. This is really good. But every time he would do it, he would step all over himself, with his big personality, his, he would dominate the story, and the story become about what he said, not what he did.
Again, not about policy. And the policy is what actually affects your life, my life, my ability to raise my kids in a country where I feel safe. And we don't even it's boring to talk about that stuff. And I want what's best. I want these Democrats out of control. Because they are out of control. They have taken this country in a direction that I, in my 37 years have not seen this or experienced this. It's pretty unbelievable. And to think that they're just getting started. My heavens, what are they going to be capable of? We are very close to being a year out from another election, which is going to have a massive impact on the Biden agenda, whatever that is. I'd like to know who's running the Biden agenda. I'd like to know what it is and who's in control of it. I don't think we know that either. But I think that talking about issues, and I think about talking about policies, spending, like Ryan likes to talk about a lot, the out of control spending and where we're actually, those are boring subjects to talk about, but they're actually starting to affect people on a real tangible level, which is why they have to be talked about. And people have to know what policy connects to which person, not who has the most nicknames for the other side of the aisle or who says the meanest things. I mean, that's why I don't really love, I'll just put it this way. In my line of work, there are many people who can take cheap shots. Like Hillary Clinton is one I talk about a lot. If you're going to talk to me about Hillary Clinton and your criticism of her has anything to do with pantsuits, you're not paying enough attention, or her age or her appearance. There are so many reasons to criticize what Hillary Clinton brings to the table before you ever mention any of that stuff. You will never win somebody over who you actually want to talk about the security of our troops when they're serving overseas, or the future of Social Security for somebody who is like me or Brad or Ryan or Katie, who are, in our Trisha, excuse me, Freudian slip there, who are nearing our 40s, who are going to be unable to access Social Security the way people are right now. I'm paying into it. I'm not paying into it for me. I'm paying into it for you folks who are taking out Social Security right now. This is why I had 4 kids. I'm just like doing my thing to contribute to the future of my
I need to
Social
retire
Security.
at some point. I'm going to have
Except
4.
for, I think that it actually doesn't balance because it's going to cost me a lot more to have these 4 kids than I'm going to get back in Social Security. Let's just be honest about that. Those issues are things that need to be talked about. And they're things that are really, really actually touching base with real voters right now. And so we're going to try to talk about that. We're going to not have nicknames for other people. We're going to not be criticizing things that don't matter. Because there's a lot of stuff that does need to be talked about. Like, for instance, the flirting coach.
Oh, yeah.
Are you a good flirter?
Am I a good flirter? I don't know if that's a yes or a no. I'm just going to leave it right there.
I'm pretty sure I know. Brad, when you were courting your wife, were you good at flirtation?
I don't think I flirted at all.
That was
Brad
really
Range
honest.
doesn't even need to flirt. He just got game.
He just walked in the room. Everybody fainted.
Here I am. Hi, Mrs. Range. Trisha,
You look like a good one.
Do you fancy yourself a good flirt?
I think I'm all right.
The women in here are like, yeah, we got that down. The men are like, why would I need to flirt? Look at me.
That is precisely what I thought.
All right. Stick around. There is an actual job out there in New York City helping people learn to flirt, and you are not going to believe how much it costs. Stick around. We'll be back in a minute.
In my arms, she felt so inviting. And I just couldn't resist the just
This is the Annie Frey Show.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Get in your comfort zone this summer with 0% financing for 72 months plus double utility rebates on qualifying new HVAC systems. For details, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Hey, this is Wiggins. You've probably heard ads talking about those little sleep apnea devices. I call them sleep retainers because that's what they feel like when I wear mine. And people who say, you know what, we do so many of these a year, we crank them out, we do 50,000 sleep apnea devices a year. I guess that's a selling point. That means that a lot of people go to them. Dr. Ty Parker Fountains Family Dentistry, they do quite a few of them a year too. But I think the point of that statement is to say that, yes, if somebody's cranking out a bunch of them, it means you can trust them. It means that a lot of people have used them, that they're state of the art. Well, that's all true of Dr. Ty Parker, but I kind of am going the other way here and telling you that he's not going to stamp you and get you in and get you out. He's going to treat you like you're an individual because you are, and not just because you mentally want to be treated as an individual because you're so unique, but because your teeth are unique and because they need to be treated differently. Every person needs to be treated differently. So see my friend, Dr. Ty Parker, Fountains Family Dentistry. If you're having trouble sleeping, check out these little sleep apnea retainers, as I call them, fountainsfamilydentistry.com. It's in Fairview Heights, Illinois.
Tired of waking up hot and uncomfortable? Start sleeping cool on the Tempur-Breeze by Tempur-Pedic. It's engineered with a revolutionary cooling system that pulls excess heat away from your body to help you sleep deeper all night and wake up more refreshed every morning. The Tempur-Pedic summer of sleep ends soon. Don't miss our best offer of the year and your chance to get your best sleep of the summer. All Tempur-Pedic mattresses are on sale with savings up to $700 on adjustable mattress sets. Learn more at TempurPedic.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458, 800-481-1458, or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for ThrottleNet, and if you need new IT service and you're a small business owner, or you just need better IT service, why wouldn't you check out ThrottleNet? They won Best in Customer Service from Small Business Monthly this past January, Best in Cybersecurity in Small Business Monthly in February. Ransomware has been huge, unfortunately, on the rise through the pandemic, and ThrottleNet has saved clients $2.6 million in ransom. So they protect against ransomware by providing a tool set that provides cybersecurity training for employees, identifying and quarantining an infected machine from the network, and the equipment will recover in less than 24 hours. Take advantage of a great offer. The first 30 days with ThrottleNet are free. There's no onboarding fees if you leave in the first 30 days. ThrottleNet will pay you $1,000 for your trouble. And after the first 30 days, no contracts, they're month to month. Check out ThrottleNet online. Use the 97.1 connection, throttlenet.com/971. Throttlenet.com/971. Get started today.
The Dave Glover Show is still on 97.1. It's the best of each day after the Mark Reardon Show from 3 to 6. The DGS Highlight Hour, 6 to 7. Weekdays on 97.1 FM Talk.
I'm losing my self-control. Yeah, you're starting to trickle back in. But I don't
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
do it again. Tell myself, draw the line. Not do I do, but once in a while I trip up and I cross the line. And I think of you. 2 years are just like that. My head still takes me back. Thought it was done, but I guess it's never really over.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Happy to be with you on this Wednesday, September 8th. Today we acknowledge the arrival home of Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz, landing at Lambert Airport and going home for his final resting place. We are impossibly grateful for his service, for all of the people who have served, and we mourn with his family and send them our love and our prayers and our eternal gratitude to him for what he's done. And we wanted to acknowledge that today. Just we talked about it at 1 o'clock, and we know that there have been some roads shut down, and I'm getting a lot of comments from people and messages from people who are participating in this. They had a moment of silence at Fort Zumwalt South High School today for him. Jared was a 2019 grad, and it's a day that belongs to him. And because of what he's done, it's another day that we get to watch the sun come up and go down in this country and be free. And we are grateful for him. So I was talking about this story that I found, and it's just, I couldn't stop reading. It's like, what, a train wreck? Flirting classes. You could take flirting classes. Ryan, I asked you if you were a good flirter, and then you responded in some nondescript way. Did you have game in your dating years? How long have you been married? We've been married for like the same amount of time, right? 14 years?
2007. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's September.
August.
Oh, so you
barely beat you.
Yeah. So you were 14 years in. I'm about a week short of that. Were you a flirt before you were married?
No. I was, you'll not be surprised to know this. I was very much like, I am going to be who I am. And if you don't like that, then we don't fit very well.
Yeah.
And I was probably too much like that because I was probably pretty annoying to girls that I probably would have gotten along with otherwise. So I didn't date a ton. I dated a little bit, but not a ton. And it's probably because I was like, look, this before The Mandalorian, this is the way.
And word spread.
And yeah,
word got out that's how
suffice
Ryan
it to
dated.
say, I dated almost exclusively outside my own high school because I had a reputation. I don't know if I had a reputation. That's probably giving me too much credit, but like, whoa, don't date Wiggins. Like everybody's talking about me all the time.
This has turned into a therapy session.
Right. So I've gotten actually very much better at flirting since I've been married, which I'm proud of.
With your wife?
With my wife.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for the clarification. I did need to say that.
You did. So Brad, Trisha, your reaction here, you can take a one-on-one flirting class with a dating expert who specializes in, it's 2021, folks, text-based flirting.
I was thinking about this before you said that. So many people are meeting and dating online there are probably legitimately people that need this class and need these social skills.
My husband and I started dating in 2004. Online dating existed, but it was not popular. Like if you were...
It was faux pas a little bit.
Yeah, it just seemed lesser at the time, which if I had to date, it would be the only way I would date now. Like that has come a long way. And I know I have two family members who are very close to me who met online, and they are perfect for each other. It's perfect that it worked out that way. The people who poo-pooed it were the ignorant ones. Like NSYNC. Was it NSYNC and Digital Get Down?
Mm-hmm.
If you know, you know, folks.
Oh, I know.
So this flirting coach says leading with curiosity is more important than finding a match who is similar to you. Okay. We practiced flirting via text message during a first date and with a random stranger. So you can sign up with Amy. She's the founder of Love Amy. This is on Yahoo News, where I get all of my important information. And she works one-on-one with singles to teach them how to flirt on dating apps, secure quality matches, and find meaningful relationships. You can sign up with her for 4 months of flirting coaching, and you get this in-person date coaching, and you get on-demand support from Amy. So if you were having a conversation with a match,
you'd include Amy?
She will provide her service to you to help you through the conversation.
So she's like Cyrano de Bergerac. But
is that another UFC fighter?
A boxing match.
She's standing in the bushes outside the window while you're talking to each other, giving you the, hey, say this, right? That's what she's doing, but she's doing it digitally.
Yes.
So lead with curiosity.
So 4 months of coaching. Did any of you guys look up the story?
No.
Mm-mm. For one low price of...
What's it cost for 4 months of this coaching?
$300.
Brad?
You're saying 4 months.
4 months of coaching.
On demand?
It involves in-person coaching, on-demand coaching, and some sessions of here's how you should do this and that.
I'm going to say it's going to be like $15,000.
Whoa. I was going to say 8,000.
10.
10.
Oh my God.
Wow. I'll take that gig.
Yeah. I'll on-demand flirt with you.
I'm Amy.
Let's be real. People who have been in a steady relationship or married for probably, I would say, what is 10 years ago is when online dating, I'm just estimating here, became mainstream.
Yeah, that's about right.
If you were past that 10 years, like for instance, how long have you been married, Brad?
Since 08.
So yeah, like all about the same time. If you were from that time and you've been married this whole time and you like you said, you got better flirting with your wife, which is good. It's a healthy thing in marriage. I would probably need
some help
to navigate this. So if you found yourself in this world after 10 plus years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, doing the dating thing in the 70s or the 80s, this is an entire different frontier.
Well, there's a difference, though, between you saying, oh, my gosh, I'm suddenly single. I need to talk to my friend about what does that look like? What does dating look like now? And paying somebody in New York City 10 grand to teach me about how to do emojis
if
differently.
It helps you find your match.
Well, that's a good. Actually, Carlo on our Facebook page asked that question. Is there a money back guarantee? What's the end goal here? I'd like to know that, too. Christopher says, I'll do it for 5. I'll do it for 4. I'll beat you,
I'll
Chris.
do it for 3.
Yeah. I've mastered
Right.
gifts. I'll do that for 3,000.
Can you imagine? Okay, let's set up the service with Brian Wiggins at the helm.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, let's do it. Seriously. Odyssey didn't hear this one. Take this one off the podcast. This is a private enterprise we're going to set up separately.
Brian's
We'll
texting
get a
us on
jewelry
the side.
sponsor with no money back guarantee.
Let's
Brian's
do it.
texting us on the side like, how do you open an internet browser?
Like a massive
I ty-
autocorrect fail one
I
after
typed
the
in
other.
cutie into gifts, and the top 3 look kind of weird.
You said
Can you guys
gift.
give me some advice on
Why
this?
are there so many eggplants in this message?
Oh no.
What's a peach mean?
Another, if you know, you know. I sent a peach emoji to my dear friend Julia, who is a salesperson here, because we went to Eckert's. She's has friends who work at Eckert's, and I was like telling her wanted to get some peaches from Eckert's and make some peach jelly, and I like put the peach in there. And she was just laughing at me. She's like, "I've never seen that emoji used that way," and I'm like,
As a
"What are you?
peach.
What are you talking about? It's a peach jelly." Oh,
See?
I just sat there and I'm like, how could this?
And you're just 10 grand short of knowing that.
Mhm. I'm like, it's fruit, it's produce.
No, 3 grand with me.
What are-
What am
what
I
are-
thinking?
What are kids saying these days?
Amy.
So she'll sit with you while you are talking to like an important match, and she'll coach you on what to say. Does that? I mean, people might feel nervous in that scenario. You feel like you find a match that you really like, and maybe that coaching helps. But is that like, if you're on the other end of that, do you want to know that your relationship that you were building with somebody digitally had an agent sitting there?
Yes.
Like,
Absolutely.
I would like to know that. Yeah.
And when does that come up? Do you tell them like pretty early on, look, I'm bad at this. I hired a coach. Is that the best way
that's
to do
a
it?
great way
Or
to
is
get
this
people on the hook.
Yeah.
I'm really bad at conversations, so I hired
Exactly.
someone to tell me
So
what to say.
Well,
here's
that's kind of my
Amy.
point. Like, at what point do you say, look, this is what I did and it's okay? You
Is
know,
it, like,
when is that?
catfishing light? Are you being deceptive?
It
I think,
seems like you are. I
well,
think.
people help people write resumes. It's no different than that.
True.
Well, but isn't that a little bit more? I don't know. It's less personal.
I don't think so.
Well,
Like
don't
you're
you-
trying to get to know somebody so well that
Let's
you
talk
want to
about
maybe.
Brad's resume.
My resume.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about my resume. But don't you have friends sitting around you whenever you were younger and you were texting a boy or a girl and your friends
Say
were like,
this,
"Oh,
say this, say this."
I mean, in a
Absolutely.
way, it's kind of the same thing. But then again, at the same time, like if you have a coach that's flirting essentially for you because you're really bad at it, is it really you the other person is liking? Is the
That's
question
the
that comes up.
question.
Yeah.
It's a fine line.
And to bring this back home to the Annie Frey Show 97.1, is this not a wonderful example of the free market? I mean, it is a ridiculous service.
Being allowed to charge this and having people pay for it.
And you charge
Yeah.
$10,000 for a 4-month run of these services. And if people are going to pay it, good for her.
I agree.
Are you similarly opinionated about the cuddling services, which is what came to mind immediately when you said the dating thing? You know what I'm talking about?
Immediately came to mind.
The cuddling services. You know, don't leave me hanging. Don't do this. Don't do this on day 2, Annie. I can see it in your eyes. You're just gonna leave me to talk this out. We got a minute left. The cuddling services where you gotta pay to lay in a bed with a stranger. You know what I'm talking about? Doggone it.
I don't think that's going.
Don't talk, Trisha.
Oh,
That's not how this works.
I can see you all know it. You've all seen it. You know what I'm talking about. And dang it. Now I look like I'm a Taylor Swift fan. You all do this to me. Trisha did it to me while you were gone. Apparently I'm an easy target. Everybody's having a good time with me. And there's the music. No, it's you now. This is your theme song. Enjoy it.
You're America's sweetheart right now.
Oh, Wiggins America.
The cuddling services that immediately come to your mind. No, Brian, that's just you. And here's another thing. You can't not talk. If I
Yeah.
stay quiet, you can't not say
It's
anything.
been trained into me now.
You can listen to the podcast. Maybe not the last part of the show. We might cut that out of there. Maybe we won't. Subscribe with Odyssey and stick around because Mark Reardon's up next.
Now what do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Take a moment and rate your lifestyle on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is a life that's nothing like the life you were promised after getting good grades, a college degree, and a good job in corporate America.